everybody. Welcome to the GameCritics.com podcast E3 2010 wrap-up. We say it every year. If E3 is the industry's Super Bowl, we are the ultimate post-game show. The Electronic Entertainment Expo has come and gone, and only Game Critics can satisfy your craving for analysis, and we'll do it with unparalleled ambivalence. An extra-large cast this week. Let's introduce them now. We begin with Game Critics owner and founder, Chi Kong Liu. Hello, Chi.
Hello, Tim. Let the hate begin.
Yeah, let's get that hate rolling. You know, I was thinking, Chi, if Game Critics held an annual convention, we could call it Chi 3.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that one, man.
Just saying. It's a suggestion. Also joining us and ready to dazzle us, it's Brad Gallaway.
Hey, everybody. One thing before the show starts, you actually will not find much ambivalence here at all. No, I think we lean pretty clearly in one direction. I will not say what direction that is, but you'll find out soon enough.
And what kind of podcast would it be without kid-friendly, mom-approved Mike Bracken?
Hell yes. Let the bitterness begin.
Now, because a big show like this, we have a big show, we need a big cast. I am thrilled to welcome a special guest. You know him from his own podcast, Big Red Potion. Let's say hello to Mr. Sinan Kuba. Sinan, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, Tim. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me on your excellent show. I'm so excited to be here for your Chi 3 special.
Oh, man.
And in addition to wanting your insight on E3, I know that Brad has done your show at least once, so bringing you here kind of restores balance to the podcastiverse, if you will.
It's a fine balance.
I thought you were going to say the Force.
Yeah, I was waiting for mention of midichlorians.
Yes.
I'm not a midichlorian guy, not at all. So the way this will work, we're going to keep the same basic format as our 2009 show. We're going to start by talking about the press conference, and then the second half of the show will be name-checking what we call our games of significance, games that we're looking forward to, games that disappointed us, and games we were hoping to see but didn't. Now, we should point out we are recording this slightly out of order. In fact, what I'm saying right now is actually the last thing we're recording, and I mention that only because Sinan is going to disappear for the first, I'd say, 45 minutes. You're not going to hear his voice as we talk about Nintendo, but he will pop back in for our Sony discussion. So, with that, let's start with Nintendo. And let's begin where Nintendo began, with The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. No doubt you guys were entranced by it.
I was embarrassed for them bringing that out and how terribly it controlled on stage. I mean, then Miyamoto says afterwards that it ended shamefully, and I'm like thinking, it didn't end shamefully. It was shameful the whole way through.
All the way through.
He said that afterwards, really?
Yeah, there was a quote somewhere that he had said something about it ended shamefully or something, and I'm like, dude, it sucked from the start. I mean, if you're the guy who designed the game and you can't fucking pull the moves off, then something's way wrong.
Right.
Was that nonsense about him saying that cell phones were like interfering?
Yeah, that there was like interference. Dude, that's such a load of crap.
I mean, just, that stuff aside, though, didn't you guys think it looked like totally like dumbed down and basic? Like the way Link was moving, it looked like it was like kind of a corridor-y kind of thing. And I don't want to bowl. I don't want to sit in front of my TV and swing my Wiimote for 2 hours. You know?
That's the same thing. And I mean, here it is again. I feel like this dinosaur gamer or something, but I just don't fucking care about motion controls. So
yeah.
I couldn't watch that. I didn't even watch the whole Zelda demo, so I didn't even see where the controls started to break down. But like when I saw Link riding that stupid horse in a forest, like swinging at those stupid plants, I'm like, really? This is Zelda? I just stopped. I don't even know about the controls breaking down or anything.
The big innovation now is he has a whip. So
great.
So he shoots this little fly thingy thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, ooh,
dude,
exciting.
Here it is again. Miyamoto's trying to shoot shit with the bow or whatever it was, and the controls are so fucking bad. He's taken half an hour to try to kill the stuff, and it's just embarrassing. I mean, like, look, he's fucking Miyamoto. He's a legend. He's an icon, and I felt embarrassed for him, because he's on stage, and you can tell even he can't make this fucking thing work. So, but then I would rather him just come out and say, look, it didn't go well because we had to show this at E3, and I really would have preferred to have another month or whatever to work on it and have it more prepared, but time is what it is, and you have to show a big game. So we had to show it before it was really ready to be seen, but, we're fixing all that. But instead it's cell phone interference or,
But even still, let's pretend that it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we supposed to get out of that? So, hey, we can swing horizontally and sideways.
And sideways.
You use your left arm to shield? I mean, fucking cares?
The funny part about where it glitched up on him, or didn't glitched up on him, the shield block back or whatever it's called. That was with the nunchuck. So that nothing's changed there. That's still the same nunchuck that it was before. There's no Wii motion, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same freaking problem of what it was before. Like it's still a shaking thing. It's not like it wasn't a Wii Motion Plus issue.
You could just see it start to go bad the minute he got to those plants, and you had to cut them according to which way their mouth was slanted.
It took 6 tries to do it.
Yeah, he couldn't get that fucking thing to swing the way he was trying to at all. He looked like a spaz, and I mean he's fucking trying to get it to swing and it won't swing, and he's fucking backflipping instead, and so it's like I'm like, oh, this really makes me want to play this game. This looks like a real blast.
And they're trying to convince casual gamers this is something they should jump into, and it's complicated as hell. You got to hold your sword up, you got to do all this. It's like you got to hold the shield in a particular way. I was like, what?
I mean, this just between us. I mean, granted, we're all a bunch of old dudes and we're all jaded and shit. But do any of us ever really sit around and go, it would be so awesome if I could just swing my controller like a sword? Do you ever really just want to be quote unquote in the game like that? Because I sure as hell don't.
Not anymore.
No. You know what it was? It was a fun idea when the Wii first came out, but that's it. They blew their wad. They had their chance. They fucked it up. They put in the Wii Motion Plus, thinking that they could try to somehow have a take two or something, or give me back or something. But it's too late. That error is that whole gimmick of I can swing a sword. It was great 4 fucking years ago. No one gives a shit now. You know what I mean? I mean, if you didn't think I could hate on Nintendo anymore, this is coming from a Nintendo fanboy, for God's sake.
I was going to say you're not even a traditional Nintendo hater, dude.
Yeah.
Oh no, I love Nintendo. Are you kidding me, man?
That's what I mean. Yes. That's what I mean. It's kind of weird coming from you because you're usually Mr.
Yeah, you usually cut them a lot more slack than Brad and I do.
Yeah,
you're on fire, dude. She's fired up, man.
I thought this year was one of their better press conferences in a while. It wasn't great or anything like that, but I came away from it. I mean, Jesus, they didn't fucking bring out the Vitality Sensor or James Patterson's Women's Mystery Club or Murder Club or whatever the fuck it was. So, I mean, I didn't hate their presentation this year, so at least they were better in that regard for me.
There's two things that made me hate it. One was the reactions from the people, first of all, right? They were so, all the reactions of, oh, Nintendo gets us, and, we should be so grateful now that they finally are making games again. I was like, what the fuck are you people talking about? They've been shitting on you for 3 years, and now you're grateful that they're, actually, deciding they want to make games again,
That's just that rampant Nintendo fanboyism that exists in the gaming community. These guys just want Nintendo to come back to them, and they're just so happy whenever Nintendo throws them any kind of scrap at all that, I mean, honestly, objectively, why should we be excited about another Zelda game? Why should we be excited about a Mario Sports? I mean, okay, kind of the idea of playing Mario Hockey intrigues me a little bit, but...
Oh, dude, I can't believe you said that.
Come on, I can't believe you said that. I know, dude. That was embarrassing.
It's
that was embarrassing.
I like hockey.
Mike gets the pass for hockey.
And You may like hockey, but keep that to yourself, dude. That's got to be like.
No, yeah, I won't utter that in public ever again. You guys,
edit that out. We can't let that get out.
Yeah, we can't let that get out. That would damage my rep in irreparable ways. So,
well, listen. I love volleyball, but that doesn't mean I'm excited about Mario volleyball. I thought it was embarrassing that they tried to trump that out as something special. Mario's back to whoring himself to these other games that are like Nintendo does a great job, but let's face it, these are like it's the classic Mario whoring himself out to these other genres, and I'm like, we're supposed to get excited about that,
Yeah.
Oh,
when what's his name was pumping it up, oh my god, he's like, you've seen him in sports, you've seen him do this sport, but you haven't seen him do volleyball. I was like, what?
Well, yeah, that was the thing. Like, to me, I didn't care about the volleyball or anything like that. I just when they showed hockey, I thought, well, at least that's something I didn't expect. Like I guess maybe it's my fucking standards are so low for Nintendo most days that anytime they just do something that surprises me even a little bit, I guess that's just good enough for me now. So.
Here's
faint praise.
So here's the other part that angered me is that it was like Nintendo acted like gaming hadn't evolved or hadn't changed in the last 4 years. Like they were like introducing these concepts to like these casual gamers, as it were. At first, I was thinking, is it me? Like, are it sounds like the tone of the whole thing is like they're talking to these casual gamers, and maybe I thought that was just me. But after the conference was over, the G4 people pretty much validate what I said, because the girl in the middle, the blonde girl, was like, they pretty much acknowledged like, oh yeah, it's for you, the Zelda's for you, and all the while the guys are saying, yeah, it's casual. The two more hardcore guys are saying, yeah, it's casual, but it's improved. I'm like, what the fuck did that mean? So you understand that it's casual still, but somehow it's better than what it was before because of why? Because of the Wii Motion Plus, because they finally decided to like make another game. That didn't make any sense at all. And like I said, it was like everything was in a standstill for like the last 4 years, and they were talking about these bizarre things, these very rudimentary concepts like platforming, like it's a new thing, platforming.
Well, you have to remember, this is the company that's how many years in that still doesn't have a fucking online system that's accessible to a person of average intelligence. I mean, you're still using friend codes and all this shit just to try to play with other people So any kind of platforming is like a huge technological advancement for these guys, I guess. At least it's not connectivity again. Thank God.
Oh, jeez, I know. Seriously.
I'm just very skeptical that dialing back gameplay for 4 years is somehow going to make it more accessible for all those Wii casual folks. So somehow they're going to understand, like, oh yeah, I could have played this all along, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I have to give them credit. I want a 3DS right now. So
I will say that I agree. I think they did a good job on that one. I will agree to that, and I like the fact that they trumped it out. All the big time developers, being excited about it, which was funny, contrasting it to Sony's move, because the developers that talking about that, I was like, who are these people?
Yeah. Yeah, I am actually pretty excited about the 3DS. Not so much the 3D, but I like the fact that it has that bigger screen and the slider thing, like an analog type stick, and seriously, the graphics on it are impressive for a handheld. So I think Sony maybe kind of dropped the ball a little bit with not having another PSP ready to go, because pretty much the one thing that guys I know always bitched about the DS was like, well, the PSP has better graphics, but that's not really going to be the case, it doesn't look like, when the 3DS comes out.
Yeah, the PSP's in trouble when the thing that they trump out at their conference is that they have a new ad campaign for PSP.
Yeah. Oh, that is the worst fucking ad campaign ever, too. Jesus.
I don't know if it's the worst ad campaign, but just the fact that it's an ad campaign is...
Yeah, it was pretty bad, though.
I looked at videos. You couldn't see the 3D effect in any of the videos, right?
No.
Because I looked at a number of them, and I couldn't make anything out, so I wasn't sure if that was my imagination or what.
And I heard from some guys that this is the one potential negative to it, is that the 3D is great, but there's a sweet spot to it, like where you have to hold it for it to be to be right, and like if you deviate from that sweet spot even a little bit, it throws everything off. So that's a bit of a concern to me, because I like to play my DS like on the toilet or in bed, or and I'm always like moving around and shit. So I don't know if I'm like cool with having to constantly be locked into one position. And the other thing I'll say is as excited as I am about this thing, anytime you mention Nintendo and 3D, I immediately think of the Virtual Boy, and we all fucking know how that turned out, and I just don't want to see that happen again, because that thing just gave me headaches constantly.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I've already heard people like start to whisper about, if there's going to be any effects on people's vision or eyes, especially younger kids using the 3DS, because it's, I guess a brand new technology that hasn't been used in other applications, and so people are already kind of raising, cautionary flags about, well, we know how much kids play their DSs, and if this is a brand new kind of, trick of the eye kind of thing, is there going to be any kind of downside to it? So I mean, Nintendo's a very cautious company in general, but I think they should be a little more careful, because as like you just said with the not the 3DS, the Virtual Boy, I mean, people were getting sick and having headaches and stuff off of that. And they launched it, so I am kind of concerned a little bit.
Well, I think that the actual 3D, the way the 3D images are created, that's been around. Whether or not someone's like stared at a 3D image for 10 hours straight, that remains to be seen, I guess.
That'll be me.
Yeah, I mean, you can't dial it back. I mean, so that's good news. I mean, so if any parent's concerned, they could just turn it off altogether. And that's all.
Yeah, very true, very true. Now let me bring this up with you guys. The one thing about the 3DS that I haven't really heard anybody talking about is the new analog stick that got, well, not a stick, a nub, I guess.
It's a slider. It's a
slider. So I'm imagining it's probably like the old TurboGrafx 16 controller, I would imagine, because that was kind of a slider. Something like that, or the NES. What was it? The NES.
Max. The NES
Max. I have that.
That was a slider too. So if it's kind of like that, I mean, I haven't heard anybody, give a peep. I mean, did we really want it? I don't think we really did we? Did anybody
the
want
slider?
that?
Yeah. I didn't need it, no. And again, it's an interesting choice to me, because here was the opportunity for them to really fucking just hammer the PSP once and for all, as if they'd have put 2 analog sticks on it. I mean,
I know.
How fucking funny would that have been, that here's Nintendo fucking comes along and does what Sony should have done 5 years ago, 8 years ago, whenever that fucking PSP launched. And so then they didn't. They only went with the one. But yeah, I mean, I didn't need it. I like my DS with the regular, the D-pad on.
But they're going 3D, and you kind of need more sensitive analog control. It doesn't bother me that they didn't put in 2, because you know what, the casual folks, their heads are going to explode when they see 2 sticks. That's like the standard.
Yeah,
well, I mean, do you ever use like on my PSP? I never use the analog nub. I hate it so much. I'll use the D-pad for everything. I I can't use the analog.
I think the developers never used it because it sucked.
Yeah. So I'm hoping this turns out better.
When you have to use it, like your thumb gets really sore. I mean, but even still, I really wish they would have launched something with a second nub, because I've played a couple games, which would be really great games if there was a second stick, but like you always hit the same camera control problem. So it's something that the DS has totally avoided. Thanks to like the whole move with the D-pad, aim with the mouse, so that kind of takes care of that problem. And the PSP is still lagging, and now that the 3DS has 3D, I mean, whatever. Who's going to go PSP now? Nobody.
So I was also impressed. Like the launch lineup for the 3DS looks impressive. I mean, they're bringing out some decent games. I mean, not necessarily just for launch, but that first batch of games that are going to come out look pretty interesting to me. So
yeah, pretty good selection. I mean, there's lots of stuff I'd like to give a try. So yeah, looking pretty good to me.
I haven't seen some of the way the other games look. I wasn't blown away by the look of Kid Icarus. It all sort of, and I loved how like Iwata, in quotes, graphics improvement. Like that's a new feature. The graphics are improved. Okay, thanks, Kai.
Well, I think the thing with that is like if you look at it compared to like the 3D on the DS games, it's a pretty decent step up. And you have to remember too, this is going to be first generation software, so I mean, they're probably not even close to tapping what it can do. But in that regard, it's cool. Yeah, it's definitely not the prettiest 3D you're going to see, and I mean, it's in some of the stuff I saw, I still think some of the PSP games look a little bit better, but that system they've also been developing for a long time. So
the thing that worried me was that it looked kind of Wii-like, and I'm afraid that they're gonna like start, spam porting Wii games over to the 3DS. I mean,
it's going to happen.
Anyone know
that's going to happen? Yeah.
Right. No one else mentions this, of course, right? Like no one else.
What are they gonna bring over though? I mean, all that shovelware. I mean, because it's not like they have a bunch of good games on the Wii to port over. So.
Oh man, can't you see like 1,000 Carnival games coming over 3D effect?
I can, and that's scary. So.
Exactly.
Did you guys never play Chicken Shoot? Because Chicken Shoot was pretty damn decent.
Really?
No, play that.
All right.
I'm still waiting for Bob Ross's Joy of Painting or whatever it was. So
now with the Wii Motion Plus, you can get into the finer details.
Yeah, you can like really get into those happy little tree leaves.
Happy mountain. Yeah.
So, and the other thing that concerns me is like nobody talked about how much this thing is going to cost.
Right.
I'm genuinely concerned about that. I think if it comes out at like the typical DS price point, that's awesome.
200? Is that 200 or?
I think it's like 160. Yeah, I see it having to be like 200.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 200.
250 probably.
250 probably, if anything.
No. There needs to be a 1 at the front of that number.
Yeah.
For that, it has to be
199.
Well, yeah, I mean, and maybe that's it, 199. But anything more than that, I mean, you're buying this thing for 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. It
that's
can't
true.
Be 200.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, I think that with the level of hype surrounding it, though, it's going to be like gangbusters, man. I mean, this might be their
time to get one of these things when it launches. I mean, the way people are excited about it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to count on getting one for the first 6 months. It's going to be madness,
Yeah, it's going to be like a regular console launch. So, I don't know. It's interesting to me because I bagged on the DS hardcore when they announced it and before it came out and ended up loving it. And so this time it's like totally opposite for me. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna trash this one. I'm on board. So it's the only thing Nintendo had that like totally had me excited. So I mean, I guess that's something because they didn't have anything last year.
How do you feel about every old Nintendo franchise having a release on the 3DS? Like they've brought back Ocarina of Time, they've brought back Star Fox, Pilot Wings. Any interest in replaying any of that on the 3DS?
Some of it, yeah. I like nostalgia. I like we talked about last show. I love that era of games, the 16-bit, and some of that stuff. I didn't have a Nintendo 64 ever. It's the one game system I've never had. So like I missed a lot of that stuff, or I only played it in like really small amounts. So I'm okay with it. The thing that bugs me about that though is Nintendo does the same shit with the DS now where they bring out these ports of these old games and they want to charge you $35-$40 for them. I don't know that I want to pay $30 to $40 for a game from that era, but I'm open to playing them. So
I think it's sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I think it's cool from the perspective of games are like one media where it's not really easy to get something that's old. I mean, you can always rent like an old movie or you can get an old book at a library. And I think that that's something that we're really lacking. And I really wish that we had more accessibility to older titles.
You mean like Microsoft Game Room?
Not like that at all. It would have to be good games that I'd be interested in, not those crappy games. But,
he's insulting classics.
Theoretically, yes. I mean, I think that we should have access to all the older games, whether they're good or bad, just so we could see what they're like. I mean, we have that kind of access for other media. So I'm all in favor of that. But exactly like Bracken said, I may want to play, one of those older games, but I don't want to pay a brand new game price for it, or I don't want to pay $5 less. I want to pay something cheap, because it's old, it's not going to be the newest tech, even if they're refurbished or whatever, or made to look a little pretty. They're still old and they're still behind the times, and it costs the company basically nothing to put those back out. So I feel like those savings should be passed along, and they're not going to be.
No.
I'm not buying a 3DS so that I can have like an archive machine,
Well, right. I agree. I don't think that should be its sole purpose, but I just think, like in theory, having access is kind of a good thing. I mean, not that I think that should be the main selling point of the 3DS, though.
Oh, who's excited is fucking Square because they're like, oh, good, we can re-release every Final Fantasy game again on another handheld and charge $40 or $50 each for them. So
right, but it's in 3D this time. It's in 3D.
we'll never have to make a new game again. We can just, as long as they keep putting out new handhelds, I can just keep fucking releasing Chrono Trigger and everybody will buy it over and over.
God, we are such cynical fucks, man.
Well, that's what I mean. How many fucking handheld versions of like Final Fantasy have there been? I mean, Jesus Christ! And I buy them all like an idiot, so I have no one to blame but myself. But you know.
Well, I mean, I totally agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with them capitalizing on their body of work. I mean, I think that's great, but at the same time, do it with a conscience. Do it with, with some morals. I mean, releasing those games for so much to me, it's kind of ridiculous. I wouldn't mind buying some of them just to have them accessible, but I'm not going to buy them for $40 or whatever.
Well, I don't see Star Fox and Pilot Wings as being like straight up. I think they're, I don't think they're going to be remakes. I think they're going to be like updated versions. Like the next. The sequel to it. So, and I think those are two perfect games for 3D, so I'm excited about both those games.
Someone who played Star Fox, somewhere I was reading, said that it was exactly the same. Like the enemy, he knew where the enemy placement was and everything because he'd played the Nintendo 64. He was like, it was whatever part of it he played was exactly the same as
it was
on the 64.
This is what passes for originality these days. They're remaking GoldenEye that they should have remade 4 years ago. It looks like a game that should have came out 4 years ago, and people are fucking actually really excited about it. I love GoldenEye, and I'm a little bit like, I want to play this, but I'm not like gonna fucking jizz in my pants over this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That whole part of the thing was embarrassing, dude. When they had that little like fakey ass like focus group, how they're like, name one of the best games of all time, and they're like GoldenEye or whatever. I'm like, dude, okay, that looks totally self-serving and embarrassing. I can't believe they even did that. But it's like, I'm sorry, as someone who was, I was not caught up in the GoldenEye fever when it hit. Like I played it. I didn't really fall in love with it. I didn't play a lot of multiplayer with people, and I was like, okay, it's cool, but whatever. And I was kind of just done with it. Like I never built up that nostalgia. And when I went back to play it, I think I played it last year. I was like, oh my god, this game is like a giant pile of like steaming ass. Like it's terrible.
Yeah,
and even if they updated it, I really don't think there's going to be. What for? I mean, why? There are so many more shooters these days that are so much more powerful and that have so many more new features. I mean, okay, whatever, ride on the nostalgia coattails, but it's not anything to really crow to the rooftops about, I don't think.
I still can't wrap my head around Daniel Craig is Pierce Brosnan as...
I love that, actually. I thought that was the most hilarious part. It was just so bizarre that it was actually kind of perfect, So, yeah, the best thing they can say about the game is that they put, Daniel Craig in there.
Daniel Craig's in it now.
Yeah.
So...
I'll need another episode to debate the whole GoldenEye thing with you, Brad.
I honestly, I don't think there's much of a debate. I mean, I think it's a historical fixture, which is great. I mean, I totally recognize its place in the history of game development, and it really was something special at the time, even if I didn't enjoy it that much. Yeah. But I mean, it's a thing of its time. I mean, you can't really bring that forward and expect people to like really fall in love with it again. I mean, is it really going to hold up next to like all the other games that have like all of the multiplayer advances in the last like however many years it's been, like 20 years or something like that? I mean, I have a hard time imagining that anybody's going to spend more than a half an hour. They're going to boot it up and go, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh, this is so cool. Wait, let's go play Reach.
Yeah.
Like who's gonna play GoldenEye when there's all this other stuff around?
I just feel like their stage design to this day, I think, is in a lot of ways superior than a lot of games out there. And I have to test my theory here because I haven't actually played it, granted, because I know the animation is going to feel like completely, like 16 frames per second or whatever, and it's going to be really hard to overcome that. But I still think that the stage design and the way the game mechanic choices that they made were just like so far ahead and in a lot of ways still superior than a lot of the games that we see today. But yeah, it's another
that would
show.
Be an interesting topic because you probably know the game a lot more than I do because I never really got that wrapped up in it. But
yeah.
I mean, like I said, trying to play it last year or whatever it was, I was like, oh my god, this is just like, this is not fucking playable. I just couldn't do it.
Is it on
Virtual
console?
Nope, nowhere.
I didn't think so.
That's what's made this even more like
of a big deal.
Yeah, I had the actual cartridge for the 64. Don't ask me why I was playing. I just had it out one day.
This is one group that's not going to question that. If anybody's going to question, it's not us.
Like, just edit out. That makes sense. Yeah, no argument.
Exactly.
It's just out.
David Stone has like every single console wired up, ready to go at any single time.
I do too, but not quite everyone. But all of mine are always hooked up. So
I just had Clash at Demon Head lying on the floor. Popped it in. You know. I don't know why.
Yeah. That's what you call Tuesday.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Tuesday.
Clash at Demon Head Tuesdays. So, what else do you want to talk about with Nintendo, or should we move to one of the other press conferences?
I think we beat on the Nintendo pinata enough. Because we get hate mail whenever we do this, so we're fucked again. I love the 3DS. Just keep that in mind.
3DS did look good. We're all excited for the 3DS.
All excited
That's
for that.
the takeaway from the audience.
So, why don't we do... You want to do Sony next?
Sure.
All right. Well, let's start with Sony. Now, Sony nearly destroyed the PlayStation brand to force Blu-ray down our throats. And they're at it again. This time, they'd really like you to buy a 3D television and play their 3D games. So we will have something around 20 3D games by March 2011. Did anything that you saw at the Sony conference, anything dealing with 3D, impress you there?
No.
Kevin Butler.
Kevin Butler was the highlight of their whole press conference. A guy who's an actor. It was the best part of their whole conference. Yeah. 3D. Why do everybody just went out and bought high def TVs, so now we're all supposed to run out and buy 3D TVs like a couple years later, and I just don't get it.
Yeah.
It pisses me off.
And I'm only half joking with my introduction. I mean, they took...
I didn't think you were joking at all.
Yeah,
I thought that was an accurate information.
I mean, that's what I took away from it, is that we're all supposed to go buy a fucking 3D TV now, so...
Yeah.
No thanks. No thanks.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to take a pass on that, guys. I don't really need to drop $3,000 on a television right now, so...
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I don't PC game because I don't like playing the technology keep-up game with all the new cards and all the stuff that comes out. And I feel like they're trying to shift that same thing over to the console side. It's like, there's all these new peripherals coming out, the 3D televisions. It's like I don't want to buy like all this hardware all the time. I would rather buy games.
I mean, it's not only are you going to have to buy a TV, but if you want to play Move, you're going to have to spend how much on that? That on top of what a PS3 is $300 still. I mean, Jesus Christ, man! And the games are $60. Who? We're in a fucking recession here. Who do they think?
I know.
Has the
It's
money
like they just totally. Do they think we're out of the recession? Like that stimulus package worked? I mean, like we're back to the spend happy days? Like I don't think so.
On the same topic, Brad, what cracked me up about their presentation in the intro, they showed all the stuff that goes into the PS3, like in that little intro video that they played, and I'm like, oh my god, there's like so much shit on the table. That's just what I need in my house, more shit.
Yeah.
They're like all those Move, the iToy, and the system, all these extra controllers. I'm like, oh man, where am I going to put all this shit? Like,
well, it's fun you say that.
They did that repeatedly.
Well, yeah, they totally did. But I mean, the thing about that, and I mean, maybe you guys will feel me on this one or maybe not, but it's like, so I'm in my new office and stuff and I got things set up and it's like, it's comfortable. It's very comfortable for gaming, but it's like I don't have enough room to like set up like this giant like active play space for me to like do jumping jacks in front of my television. I would have to move like my couch. I'd have to move some stuff in the back. It's right near the doorway, so I'd have to like, make sure the door's closed or maybe put up some kind of like screen behind me so that didn't interfere with like the picture pickup. It's like I don't want to have to rearrange furniture and have this giant, like 8x8 like no fly zone from the rest of my family. If I'm playing this game, like I don't want to have this giant space reserved for it.
Just think how exciting it's going to be if you're like us, where you buy every console and all these peripherals. Now on top of your TV, you're going to have a Wii motion sensor. You're going to have a Kinect camera. You're going to have a Move camera. I mean, where's all this shit supposed to go? I need I need an entertainment center for my systems and my TV, and then like a separate entertainment system for all the fucking peripherals that now go with all this stuff. So,
I rarely complain about being tall. There is almost nothing bad about being tall, but I'm 6'5". My ceiling where my TV is 6'6".
Yeah, you're not
so
doing
that's
any
it.
jumping.
I'm not jumping, and it killed me for EA Sports Active because I couldn't do half the exercises without like moving into the hallway and not being able to see the screen. There's no jumping. There's no flailing of arms. I mean, I can't unless I rearrange my entire house or move. I can't use this stuff.
Dude, you're not hardcore if you won't move for gaming. Come on.
I was gonna say you're not gonna clear out all that space for sorcery. Come on, sorcery.
Sorcery.
Was there?
They couldn't even pony up for the Harry Potter license.
Yeah. Or an original title. I mean, sorcery. Some fucking marketing company got paid for that. Jesus.
It's like they took the product description and then like they thought it was the title like accidentally.
Uh-huh.
What is this? Oh, it's sorcery. Okay, it's sorcery. Well, okay, no, that's not the title. But I mean,
and is it some? Go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say. I mean, I actually did have a hands-on with the Move a while ago when they had the event here in Seattle. So of the new technology this year, I actually have played with the Move, and it's like you guys must have read my impressions and heard me talk about it before, but I just wasn't really impressed with it. It was just like, it was fine. It was just like the Wii, but a little bit different, a little bit more accurate. But I mean, the thing that really gets me about all of the, the Kinect and the Move and everything, is just like so what? Like so what? Like I don't see anything really changing in the games. Like it doesn't really add anything to me. Like instead of pushing a button, I'm like flailing an arm. Instead of pushing a button, I'm literally jumping or something.
You know what I got out of it? I got the one thing that changed is it looks like it made fucking Tiger Woods golf like 1 billion times harder. When you saw that guy.
I know the guy had a hard time hitting it. I know.
When you saw that guy, I'm like, dude, if I wanted this to be this fucking hard, I'd just go golf for real. That's the reason I don't. I want to sit on my fucking couch and push a couple buttons and feel like I'm Tiger Woods. I don't want to swing the club. I'll just fucking get a golf club, golf membership if that was what I wanted. I don't want that level of aggravation in my gaming. Thank you. Just let me use the controller.
So, okay, let me ask you guys this. Amongst us, we have a number of small children, young kids. Do you see your kids getting into Move, or I know we're not doing Microsoft yet, but Kinect? I mean, I don't see myself doing any of this, but I could see my kids finding this very, very appealing. Mm-hmm. Kinect more than Move, because I think the games were more interesting, but I mean, do you have any plans to introduce these things to your kids?
I'll let my kid play Wii Sports. Why do I need him to play Move? First of all, the games don't even look better, which is kind of funny because is there some kind of unwritten rule that motion-based games have to look like ass?
Yeah, I think there is.
It's on the PS3 and it still looks like ass. What's up with that?
I did notice that too, so I'm glad someone else validated my thought on that one.
Yeah,
I think it has something to do with the development time. They're just slapping these things together, man. It's what it is. They are. They're slapping these things together.
I was watching the videos, and like you said, we're not on Kinect yet, but I was watching the Kinectimals video, and my son is with me now, and he was like, "Oh, that looks cool," and I'm like, "Okay." I mean, that wouldn't have been what I would have said, but he thought it looked cool. No. Yeah. So that was fine with me, but at the same time, it's like, I know what his play habits are like, and I know what he has done on the Wii, and I know that he prefers using the actual controls rather than, the waggle controls. And even though some of those games may have some like kid appeal, I mean, how many parents are going to pony up for the significant amount of buy-in just so that their kid can have, 20 minutes of fun with a game that they're probably going to get bored with in a week?
Yeah, you're talking a $300 console if you don't have it already, and then this thing's going to be at least $150, right? I mean, you have to think it's got to be that much. That's already what they're talking about Kinect costing, and I thought that might even be low. So, I mean, Jesus, for your kid to wave his hands at the TV.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of price, I thought it was funny on the conference how like they put the price on like $50 for the control, and everyone was like woohoo, and then like another $30 for the one, and no one said there was no reaction after that. It's like, oh shit, so it's another 30, right? And then you got to buy the iToy on top of that.
Yeah.
What else is there to talk about? Oh, I definitely want to talk about the PS. What is it? PS Plus, PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
Their pricing program thing. That's what they call it, right? Their bonus member.
Yeah,
Xbox Live kind of thing.
Yeah, we aren't going to charge you, except we are going to charge you. You're still going to get your free PlayStation Network stuff, except that if you want to actually have any of the shit that you've become used to getting for free, now you'll have to pay for it.
And they didn't tell us exactly what was the $100 worth of value we're going to get.
Yeah, it was just you'll get all this value, but we don't know what any of it is. So.
I love that word, value.
I have never. I mean, you have a $1 billion company in Sony, billions and billions of dollars, and they have the most incompetent PR department like
they
ever.
Do.
Because all they had to say was, we are going to offer a slew of services and games that you will have access to as part of your subscription, and then that's it. That's all they have to say, and then they walk off the stage. But then they add the thing at the end where they said, you will have this for as long as you maintain your subscription.
Your subscription.
There was no need for them to say that. They did not have to say that, and yet they did. And that's like
the moment. Yeah, that's the moment where it totally fucking derailed.
Yeah, it's like the first rule of PR: you don't say something negative in your press release. It's absurd.
I'm like,
that's just terrible. I mean, that to me was like that was the point at which I was like, okay, I am now no longer even remotely interested in this because, I don't want the. I mean, granted, they haven't given specifics, so I mean, it may be nothing. Maybe I'm just overreacting, but I'm really inclined to be more of a physical media guy anyway, and so for me to even go along with this whole download thing is kind of a big deal for me anyway. But to have the thought of like I have all this stuff, and then if I stop paying you, I lose it all, even though I quote unquote have it. To me, is just like I don't even want to start. I don't even want to even get myself hooked on whatever it is that they may have because I'm gonna have to end up paying them for the rest of my life, and then you still lose it. Like you're not gonna have it. And to me, that's kind of
What happens when the next console comes out, or
exactly.
What are they going to do with it then? Are they going to refund my money when they take the shit away? Or are they just going to take it away and that's just obscene amounts of cash I've given Sony and I have nothing to show for it at the end?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, maybe we're making too much out of it, but I want to stay as far away from the whole. We call it a sale, but it's actually a rental philosophy that seems to be on everybody's plate right now. I mean, if it's a rental, say it's a rental and call it a rental and be done with it. But don't tell me that I'm buying some content and then as soon as your server goes down or as soon as you feel like you need to up your rates or as soon as I've broken some kind of weirdo licensing agreement, like I lose the stuff that I've quote unquote bought. Like that's not buying to me, that's renting. So
yeah, that's totally not buying.
Right.
That's like going on Rhapsody and paying the $10 a month for the unlimited downloads, and you keep those songs as long as you keep on that subscription plan. Exactly. And they tell you that up front, so But that I don't own any of those songs. I'm just basically paying $10 a month to rent them.
Right. And if it was like super cheap, I mean that would kind of be one thing. Like if they were like $1, I'd be like, I could maybe see like, okay, well I'm renting something for $1, not a big deal. That's fine. But I don't see a lot of these perceived like, cost savings that everybody had talked so much about before this whole like e-commerce thing got rolling. I mean, everybody talked about how much money they were going to save by not having to go retail, by not having to pay for distributors, by not having to have brick and mortar stores involved. And yet I rarely ever see any kind of cost savings when you do downloads. And to me, it's like, okay, you guys completely just prove yourselves to be big fat liars. So why should I believe anything you say in the future,
They were talking about their corporate bottom lines, man. They were talking about passing on savings to the consumer.
Yeah.
They're talking about how their profits were going to go up, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. Very true. I mean, that's how it morphed into that. But, in the beginning, I mean, all they were saying was, oh, man, think how much money we're going to save. Everybody's games are going to be so much more affordable and blah, 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 blah. Okay, no. I mean, actually, you look at people just got screwed. So I'm just not down with
We've all gotten screwed this generation. I mean, there's just no other way. There's no other way to look at it. If you play games, this entire fucking console generation has been nothing but a big fuck you to you because $60 games and these outrageous console prices, and then the fucking things break all the time, and it's like some days I wake up and I'm like, why do I even do this anymore? It's just like just one giant drain on my finances. So.
Hey Tim, he's ready if you want to hit him up.
Sinan, are you on?
Yeah, hi guys.
Hey, there you are.
Hi, sorry for being incredibly late. I just had the biggest advert for learning to drive in my city. I got held up on a night bus for an hour and a half. Yeah, there was a fight on the bottom deck between teenagers, and we had a police inquiry, which that was fun. But I literally got in about 10 minutes ago, and I'm so sorry for holding you guys up.
Did Epic Beard Man show up?
Yeah, he's only in Oakland.
It was pretty much the whole cast of Street Fighter, but we could take off Zangief there. But it was a disaster.
But the big question though is what were you doing out on a bus at 3 a.m. in the morning?
That's London. It's like New York. The only way to get home is pretty much on a bus in the early morning. I was out with a friend, and usually it's a 20-minute journey from central London to my house, but it took 2 hours today. Wow. So I'm really, really sorry, guys.
It's all right.
No, not at all. It's a great story. We've never had a guest interrupted by a fist fight between unruly teenagers.
We sometimes have the show interrupted by them, but we've never had a
That's true.
Brad is on it. And I thought I'd reward all the punctuality Brad has shown with an hour lateness today. So that would be the best way to repay the favor.
No,
that's fine. I mean, I was only talking you up for days and days to get you on the show, so it's not a big deal or anything.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure that you looked good doing that.
Yeah. Shot on my cred. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
So we've had kind of an unusual show because while we were waiting, we just kind of started talking about Nintendo, and then we realized that we didn't want to say any of that again, so we decided that we had started the show. So we haven't done like a formal introduction or anything. So right now we're talking about Sony and what they brought up in their press conference, and just having a delightful, spirited discussion. What were we talking about? We're talking about.
We just got done talking about the digital downloads and what a ripoff it was, and the PS Plus thing.
Yeah, we haven't done PSP yet. So we kind of bagged on it already in the 3DS part, but
it's been nonstop hate for the last half an hour.
That's right.
So maybe Sinan here can bring us out of the darkness here. Maybe say something positive about Sony.
Well, hopefully you liked something. So yeah.
About Sony?
Anything.
Oh no.
So Sinan, without having introduced you at all, because we're going to record that later, you're just going to jump in, and would you be willing to share with us your thoughts on Sony?
Absolutely. I thought Sony had a real tough job, considering that they followed Nintendo and what was a really popular, if not necessarily the best conference. So they obviously had a lot to do and prove, and it's Sony, so of course there's extra scrutiny because they've not exactly had the best of E3 conferences in recent years. I thought there was in general a better message to their presentation than there was to Microsoft's. Microsoft's was more split personality, whereas Sony, at least kind of, it felt like they were trying to incorporate all they were showing to their entire audience. The whole everything is own. Sorry, what was the message? It's only for everyone.
Yeah, it does everything, or
yeah, something like that. But at least it sounded like it was trying to be aimed at everybody, whereas Microsoft was, this is for you and this is for everyone else, and you can't touch this, and if you try to touch this, you can't have that. So I don't know. I was completely put off by the way Microsoft did things, but I liked that Sony had that kind of message, and I thought Move demoed okay, and some of the games looked good. I thought the most interesting bit was Valve turning up with Dave. I mean, that's got to be the most surprising thing I think I've seen at E3 at an E3 conference when you consider what he said and his history. I don't know if anyone else thoughts about that.
No. I mean, to set that up for weeks leading up to E3, Valve had said that there would be a Portal 2. Well, originally they said there would be a Portal 2 event that people would be able to come and see and play Portal 2, and then they canceled that but said there would be a Portal 2 surprise instead. And I don't think anyone was expecting Gabe Newell to come on and ally himself with Sony. I mean, what did you think about that, Sinan?
My first thought was how much have Sony paid him. Surely that was what everyone was thinking when they saw it. I mean, when you consider how vociferous he was, it was so fundamental the way he'd said that they would, Valve were so dismissive of the PS3 and Sony, and I couldn't believe it.
Right, and the reason why he thought Portal 2 should be on the PS3 now was because of this bizarre ecosystem of social gaming. I'm like, what did that mean? Like, what does that have to do with Portal?
At the end of that check is what it meant. I mean, I think that's bottom line. All it was like, they must have written him a colossal check. I mean, it must have been some ungodly sum of money, because, like you guys said, I mean, he's been like a total anti-PS3 Sony hater for so long, and for him to show up, I mean, it just that to me is the testament of the power of money. I mean, that shows that you can buy anytime, anything, as long as the price is right. That's what that says to me.
Okay, I had a different take on this, and none of you will agree with me because it's going to sound ridiculous. But what this is about, this is one of my classic things. That's just.
Are you going to talk about Two Humans somehow?
No,
I was going to say, is Two Human fitting in here?
No, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to talk.
Is this Commander related?
Yeah. No, I'm going to talk. There will be dead silence, and then somebody will say, "Sure." So here's what happened. Valve, historically, through Steam, releases all of their updates for free. And it's how they've built their community, and it's how they've built all these Valve fanboys. So Microsoft forced them to charge for Team Fortress and Left 4 Dead updates. And they didn't want to. And so now here's the PS3 who basically said, go ahead and install your platform on our console, and essentially gave them an open door to do anything they wanted. Push out your updates, put your achievements out, store game saves up in the cloud so that your PS3 saves can work on your PC version of Portal 2. And so basically, this was a big FU to Microsoft. And now we have this complete 180 where Gabe Newell is now coming out all disheveled and allying himself with Sony. That's what this was about. Now, yes, I'm sure there was a massive check cut, but the impetus for him going after this money was to screw Microsoft after they basically refused to let him play the way he wanted to play.
I think that makes perfect sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That actually explains what that social networking thing Gabe was talking about in some ways.
Look at that. Tim makes it all make sense for us.
I know. It's like the first time, too.
He's like a savant over there.
I said something insightful.
And everybody agreed. I mean, I can't believe it.
Agreed. He thought there was going to be dead silence.
Yeah.
We were all dead silent because we were so stunned.
It's funny you say that, though, Tim. And actually, I really honestly do. I do think that you're onto something there. And I did think it was really weird that when those Valve updates came out on live, that like you said, like I know Microsoft's policy is not to let anything come out for free in general. But it's weird. Why didn't they just let them charge like $1 or something like ridiculously cheap? I mean, to force them into that price structure has got to be distasteful. I mean, obviously not just to Valve, but to other people. I've talked to smaller developers who were saying, we know what we're putting out isn't that great, but we have to follow this price structure, so it looks like we're screwing you, even though we're not trying to. I mean, it's weird to me that Microsoft is standing firm on that. So if someone like is so vociferous as Gabe Newell is going to turn their tune and go to the other side because of this policy. I mean, they're going to have to reevaluate that. They're going to have to.
I mean, this had to be a Games for Windows Live versus Steam thing. I mean, at some point, I mean, Microsoft is still holding on to hope that Games for Windows Live could become the premier Windows PC distribution system for games.
Is that even still happening? Like, is that still around?
That's the thing. I think at some point they were holding out hope that it would stick around, and technically it's still out there. But Steam is, I mean, it's a quantum leap ahead of where Games for Windows Live is.
And I was going to say, and Zune is somebody going to outsell the iPod. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
If that's where they're coming from, then that's definitely not blown up in their face with one of their premier associates turning up at their rivals' conference to announce their game is better on their rivals' platform, a game which would probably not even come to their rivals' platform a year ago. It's ridiculous. I can't believe that they putting any support behind Games for Windows Live. It's that battle is not just done this year. That battle was done last year, the year before. That's crazy.
No, very true. Very true. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the rub it in your nose thing, how he said that it would run best on PS3. I mean, that was just like out and out, just disrespect, So that Gabe must have been really upset.
Did any of the games that they presented, anyone interested in any of the games that they showed?
All I know is that I saw Killzone 3, and I just don't care.
Yeah. Sinan, what about you? Anything Sony related?
Every time I see Little Big Planet 2, I get excited. I actually thought it was probably one of the worst actually demos that we've seen for Little Big Planet 2 since it got announced. We haven't seen many, but that wasn't that strong. It seemed a bit stale. I don't think it came at a bad time of the conference, but I mean, that game is going to be fantastic, whatever happens, however poorly it's shown. I don't know. Trying to think, apart from Little Big Planet 2, was there anything? The one thing that I thought was terrible about Sony's conference was the PSP side of it. I mean, they just didn't. They tried to convince us that there was this great lineup of PSP games coming to us, and I just wondered if they showed us the entire lineup of PSP games.
This is funny because I was watching that part, and because I enjoy playing handhelds, so and I'm watching it with kind of interest, and this is not meant as a diss towards Atlas or anything like that, but when you're showing Persona 3 as one of your big PSP releases, I mean, it's a niche RPG, so if that's one of your big games that you're highlighting in your montage, your library might be in a little bit of trouble. So
yeah, well, and true. I mean, Persona 3 is an awesome game.
It's an awesome game.
Totally, one of my favorite games.
It's not something that anyone other than hardcore RPG players are going to run out and buy. And I'll tell you, I'm playing it right now and I love it. But I mean, it's that's not the definition of mainstream portable game.
Very, very true. And I think the killer for me was that it's already been out in 2 separate versions on the PS2. So anybody who is hardcore enough to play that game already has probably both versions. And so, I'm sure the PSP version is great. I haven't played it myself, but yeah, I mean, you're talking about a game that's already appeared twice before. So as magnificent as it is, it's not really something that somebody is going to be dying to get their hands on.
And I mean, even when they come out with something like that new God of War, I mean, I don't know. It's I should be excited for that. I thought Chains of Olympus was great, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we're just kind of over God of War right now. We just had God of War 3, and then they just released the first 2 for, those updated versions, and I don't know. I just wasn't that excited about that. So
yeah, G4 was showing numbers about how basically the iPhone and iPad is eating PSP's lunch right now, and I don't see what's going to change that really,
Yeah, not really. I mean, the PSP as it is, I think, is pretty much done. I mean, there's been a few good games on it, but not nearly as many as there should have been. I think they never recovered from the fatal hardware flaw of not having a second analog stick, which honestly, I mean, I know that people are sick of hearing about it, and as a critic, I'm sick of saying it, but honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I really, really feel that a second stick would have made a big difference, because the games are so crippled when they get on that system that nobody wants to put up with them. And, I mean, for whatever reason, they were so split on trying to sell UMDs, like the movies and stuff, as opposed to just games. I mean, their focus was all over the place, and instead of putting out this multimedia thingamabob, they should have just been like, this is a kick-ass game system, it's shiny, it's sexy, it's black, you want it, and it would have been just like a totally different entity than what it ended up being. I mean, now it's like a dog with 3 legs, where you like it, but you kick it sometimes, and you don't really miss it when it's not around.
Wow, so, PETA is calling in now.
Dog with 3 legs.
Yeah, we're gonna get pet haters.
Holy Christ, Brad!
Racking up.
Don't let PETA.
The hate mail is already being written.
Right.
If there ever is a PSP 2 or a successor to the PlayStation Portable, it better not contain the letters P, S, or P in the name. I mean, you basically need to reboot this thing and start completely from scratch.
It's going to contain DS and 3, but in like a weird order.
The D Sony 3 or something.
I look at my PSP all the time and think, God, what wasted potential. I mean, that thing was like, I like it. It's a nice looking piece of hardware and everything, but Jesus, and it does a lot of shit, but nothing that I ever use. So it's definitely a depressing thing.
I don't mean to presume too much, but for me, when we heard the lineup of 3DS games, or the developers involved with 3DS games, Konami and Metal Gear Solid and Capcom Resident Evil, that for me felt like we'd just witnessed the end of the war between PSP and DS.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I can't see what Sony can do with the handheld to get back from this position.
Yeah, they needed to come out, if they wanted to compete at all, they needed to have a PSP 2 this year to try to compete. And I don't even think then, if they'd had it, that they'd be able to close the gap. But yeah,
I mean, the 3DS is like Nintendo dropping a nuke on everybody else. I mean, they own with a P right now everybody else, and everybody is going to be buying a 3DS. I mean, it's like a given. Everybody I know in the whole world is going to be like, yes, 3DS, yes, I'm there. I mean, Sony doesn't have a chance.
And probably best that they didn't have a PSP 2, because clearly they are positioning themselves as the 3D and PlayStation Move company. And I think to add a third pillar to that would have been just disastrous. They don't have the resources to support all 3 of those things at once competently.
I totally agree. I think there's a difficulty enough in making those 2 pillars work cohesively, which is what they were trying to say they could do, with obviously no mention of the price point, the barrier to entry. It was just it's impressive enough to say Killzone 3 you can play in 3D and with Move, but who is going to? Who's going to actually play in 3D and with Move? I'm certainly not.
Did you see the way that they had the person holding the two sticks like a rifle? Who is going to do that? you know what I'm talking about? The way they, one. Yeah. It's like, I was like, holy shit! Like, really? How do you even keep it balanced?
Yeah. That's the problem with all this stuff. It's like you have to be so physical. Who wants to do that for an hour?
Yeah, again, it's like the golf thing. If I wanted that level of realism in the experience, I would just go to the gun range and shoot a real fucking rifle.
Why don't we put Sony to bed unless anyone has some other comments, and let's pick up with Microsoft, the last of the big 3 conferences. Microsoft deployed an army of acrobats to announce the rebranding of Natal to Kinect. I actually like the name. I don't have a problem with it, but release date of November 4th, 2010, pricing forthcoming. Gentlemen, this is true hands-free gaming, and Brad is the internet's most famous anti-motion control crusader. I'll give you first crack at this now that we've seen some actual games. What's your take on Kinect?
Well, my take is it's the iToy. I mean, what the hell are we supposed to be so excited about? I mean, granted, I'm probably one of the only 7 people in America who has the iToy, but it's like it looked exactly the same. I mean, the functionality. I mean, granted, there's a few features different, the voice recognition and stuff like that, the alleged facial recognition and whatnot. A more fancy, more souped up iToy, but still, it's technology and a means of control that have been out for like several years, and obviously the iToy went nowhere. I think there's a total of 6 games for it or something like that, and I've played them all. They all are things that would be better off with regular controllers. I mean, controlling things without your hands severely limits the number and means of input. I mean, unless somebody all of a sudden makes a quantum leap with how that thing is implemented, it looks just like another step down for the complexity and the interaction that we can have with games. I mean, holding your hands in front of you to pretend like you're driving. I mean, why would you want to do that when you can get so much more precise and so much more control with an actual controller? I mean, it doesn't. Whatever. I mean, are casuals really going to jump on board with the Wii already out and this thing out and the Move out? I mean, what's supposed to be the hook?
That's a really interesting point about the they want to talk about these motion control things like they make the experience more. They almost act like they make it more complex, but I mean, really, I think it's more complex with a controller. It certainly seems like kind of a dumbing down of gaming in a way.
Oh yeah, all this motion stuff, it's like taking gaming back another 4 years, the same way that we did when it came out 4 years ago.
I'm totally with Brad. I think it is definitely the iToy, just a better version of the iToy. I don't know if it's fair to say that because the iToy failed, Kinect will. I'm not saying Kinect won't fail. I just think that's not maybe right. I think the iToy failed because of Sony failing to market it effectively. I mean, really, thing should have sold like crazy, and they just didn't take advantage of the technology and the fact that they actually did have some good software for it.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
Yeah, they beat Nintendo to the casual punch. They just didn't know what they had on their hands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that came every other piece of technology they put out, when do they ever capitalize on anything these days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, we cut you off. Go ahead, Sinan.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I think my major problem with the Microsoft conference was twofold. The first thing was that the content was all Wii 2. We saw Wii Sports, we saw Wii, the kind of adventure party game. Everything was a Wii game I'd seen before. But worse than that was the actual delivery, the performance, the scripting, the awkward scripting. Immediately I think of was it Kinect Adventures, and the 2 women coming to the stage, and the first thing she said was, "Oh wow, look at all the water." And her friend next to her goes, "Oh my god, this is so much fun!" And the game hadn't started yet.
I know. They actually tried to script fun. That was like a first, man. How do you script fun?
So, Sinan, would you, for these conferences, would you put like a professional host in place? Would you get like a celebrity who's like a trained performer? I know that sounds like a trained monkey, but like a trained, a comedian or something. Would you put them in place to host these things?
After watching Ubisoft's conference? No.
Oh, yep, bingo. The exact same thing, dude. Thinking the exact same thing. That was a disaster, man. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're quite right. It was just cringeworthy, horrible. Oh, I don't know the guy. We don't get. Well, at least I don't get E here, so I'm not familiar with Joel McHale. But I know he's quite popular over there. At least a few of the game sites are going, "Wow, Joel McHale is hosting Ubisoft's conference again." But the guy just took if you excuse my language, the piss out of every single person who came on stage and every single game that came on stage, and obviously didn't want to be there, wasn't enthused about a single product. I mean, the battle tag. Oh my god, it was 10 of the most painful. Not only was the product rubbish, but he couldn't get himself excited for it. And it was just, it felt like he wanted to massacre the guy. He wanted to rip him and his product, but he couldn't, because otherwise he would be failing to sell the product he's been paid to sell. But if any other situation, any other setting, he would have ripped it out of that guy in that game. And
very true. I mean, I love Joel McHale, and he is like hilariously funny. I mean, I watch him all the time, and he is so acerbic in his wit. I mean, he has just like one-liner after one-liner and put down after put down. Why would you get that kind of guy to host your thing? Because exactly like you said, He's the perfect guy to have for a roast. You don't want to have him for a positive product push. That was like completely miscasting him in the role. I mean, he's a great guy, but yeah, it was a bad fit.
The problem with these conferences is part of it is that they get these business guys who are not good public speakers, and this is why I love watching Jack Tretton every year at Sony, because he's such a bumbling oaf that you almost have to like him. But so they get these guys who don't have any sense of timing, and then they give them these. They don't hire anybody who can write a good joke, so they give them these lame fucking jokes, and then the guys are supposed to, who have no comic timing anyway, go up there on stage and die with these lame jokes and have no idea how to ad lib or anything. And like, that's the one thing, like we talked about, Sony got right, was bringing this Kevin Butler guy out, who's an actor, who actually gets what he's supposed to do. So he gives me hope that they could get someone like a professional to do these things. But then I think all the time, look, every year the Academy Awards, they hire these comedians, these great actors and stuff to host these shows, and they're always awful because I guess if you don't have good writing, it just doesn't matter who hosts it. So for some reason, these advertising guys are getting paid a fortune, and they all suck.
Well, the company who gets it right is Blizzard, who for the last 3 years has brought out Jay Moore, the comedian, to host BlizzCon. And he writes his own material, he plays World of Warcraft, and he kills every year. So I think you just have to find somebody who knows the product and who's willing to be a little self-deprecating about the company. To have somebody come out and kind of make fun of themselves, like Kevin Butler, I think kind of humanizes them a little bit. That's an important thing.
By the way, while we're on host, did anyone else think that Reggie Fils-Aimé was a little by the numbers this year? He seemed disinterested, like he was on his way out or something. Like he was looking for another job. I mean, he didn't seem as enthusiastic as he did in previous years.
He didn't have any good memes or any good one-liners or anything. I was waiting for something along the lines of his famous kicking ass and taking names or whatever, and he didn't. Yeah. He just kind of, here I am, and I'm reading, and I'm tall. And
exactly. He just stuck to the script. Yeah.
He's like, I'm Reggie, and I'm a big deal, and now you just have to like me because you're supposed to. I don't have to win your admiration anymore.
Right.
And you guys think he's really ugly? It's like not like I really I'm into looking at guys or anything.
Yeah,
but
he's not a good-looking guy. No.
Yeah, he's tough, man. He looks like he should have like a knife scar on his face and tattoos on his knuckles or something.
Now we're gonna get more Nintendo hate mail because I'm gonna say he's a little Quasimodo-ish sometimes from some angles. So
we're taking the Nintendo hate this episode to another level.
Boy, it's got real personal in here real fast, didn't it?
I'm sure he's a brilliant guy. I'm sure he's a wonderful person, great father, whatever. And I mean, it's nothing personal, but just looking at him, I'm like, man. Kind of, dude. I don't know.
But Reggie, I think you're a perfectly good-looking guy. No problem.
You want to distance yourself from us.
He's got to go back to Big Red Potion and live up to whatever he says here. He's got to totally be careful what he says.
Just making sure I get that in for the lawyers. The one thing I did notice, I'm assuming all of us were watching sort of on the internet for our internet feeds. I stayed on for the after show, and Cammy Dunaway was there for presenting the after show, relegated to the after show after her antics from what was it last year. So she's still there, she's still around, but she's doing. I don't know if you guys have it in America. We have kind of sister channels to our main channels, and you get after shows. So something like Pop Idol, you get like Pop Idol Extra. It felt like she was getting the Pop Idol Extra role for the Nintendo conference.
See? I didn't know she was on at all. I didn't see that.
She's had a makeover. She looked very nice.
Yeah, she did.
So she looked bad last year then?
Better than Reggie?
Yes. If I had to go out on a date, I would choose Cammy over Reggie.
This is good to know.
So
we're way off the Connect. We're way off the Connect topic, but
are we still talking about Connect?
I actually wanted to add some thoughts on Connect, by the way.
Go for it, and then I'm going to raise a couple questions asked on our forums. But go to town. Sure.
I actually agree with Sinan in that I think the iToy is not a good comparison. In the presentation of the games for Connect, they already far surpassed anything that was ever put out on the iToy already. And how long has the iToy been out? Since the PS2. They just never put anything on that thing at all. So, maybe you could call it a better iToy, but I don't know. To me, that like they never even scratched the surface with iToy. So that's the first thing.
Well,
the second,
so just to defend myself real quick, because I can already visualize the emails coming in. You're like, yes, I mean, I agree with everything that you guys said, and so my saying that it was like the iToy was basically like it's the same basic concept. I mean, it is, and what like Sinan said, it all comes down to implementation. So while Sony had this great product with a lot of potential, I mean, I don't know anybody who didn't have their jaw drop like the first time they saw the iToy in motion. I mean, mine did. I mean, everybody I know's did. But it didn't go anywhere. So to me, I mean, it's kind of like Microsoft trying the same thing. Granted, technology's better, but like seeing the implementation so far, it to me feels like the same kind of lines. I mean, yeah, maybe better tech, but I don't see them pushing more boundaries. I don't see them doing anything that, Sony didn't try. But then again, Sony didn't really try that hard. So
exactly.
I'm sure Microsoft's going to put a lot behind it. Yeah, for sure.
It's not like the Wiimote versus the Move, because it's just Nintendo definitely did more with the Wiimote as much as they could have done, given the technology and all. But the iToy was like a never was, if anything,
Yeah, it was like a big non-starter. So I definitely am not making like a one-to-one comparison, but just like first impressions to me were, wow, this is the iToy all over again. We're going to try this idea again. I mean, I'm probably about as enthusiastic for the Kinect as I was for the iToy, which is not much. But
right.
Anyway, yeah, you guys are both completely right, and I do definitely agree that it's all going to come down to how it's used.
Yeah. So second of all, I thought Kinect Star Wars looked like absolute shit, man. I thought that was the worst looking thing. It was like, it reminded me of the second coming of Rebel Assault.
Oh no.
Like the guy's just standing there and shit's going all around in screen, and you're just sort of like shooting at a CD-ROM multimedia type thing. I thought that was horrible. I mean, I don't know what people were thinking that, they interviewed people. Oh yeah, I was excited. The minute it's Star Wars, I was on board. I was like, not after that, dude. That being said, and yeah, none of the games looked particularly compelling. But I still think Kinect, for whatever reason, I guess, I don't know, I'm optimistic for whatever reason. I think the Kinect still is a little bit different from the wand and from the thing. There is the facial recognition. If it works, that's going to be, I think, pretty interesting. The putting stuff in front of the camera and the accepting. I like those concepts. So maybe it's not like the second coming of the Wii motion controls, but I can see it adding a lot of interesting gameplay elements to current games, and perhaps add to the evolution of current games, which is what I'm all about. I want to see gaming progress, and not take this 4 steps backwards thing every single time another controller comes out.
Dude, that's brilliant what you just said. I totally 100,000 times % agree with that, because I think the key thing is that whenever one of these things comes out, everybody at Sony or Microsoft, Nintendo is like, okay, this replaces what we had. Okay, wrong. That's like total fail. The only way that these things can work, in my view, and I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, is as supplementary. I mean, if you have a regular controller and then you have like some facial recognition or some voice control on top of that regular controller, that to me is a move forward. But taking away all your regular controllers and replacing it with like a wave your hand here, tilt your head over there, that to me is like a total step backwards. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I agree completely. That was actually a point I was just about to make before you did that. We do this show, and I always come out and I'm like you. I bitch about these things every time they come up, and it's like, not that I'm inherently against games using motion controls. It's I don't want motion controls to become the standard method of control for games, because I don't think it offers the same level of responsiveness or the same kind of interactivity with the game. I mean, if you want to have them as like these little, mini games and stuff like that and its own thing, that's cool. But I don't want every console to be like the Wii, where I'm constantly having to stand up and swing around a controller like an idiot all the time. Right. So,
one comparison that I don't see made too often is that the Kinect can sort of be like the touchpad for the DS, really. There's still the game, the gamepad and the 4 buttons and the shoulder buttons, but there's also that touchpad in the middle for the DS, and the Kinect could be like that too. So it's just adding another level of things.
Mm-hmm. I want to come at it from a slightly different angle, actually. I kind of disagree that in terms of making Kinect. I'm trying to say. well, to Mike's point, that it's okay for it to be the kind of mini game side of it, and not necessarily part of the games. I think that actually was one of the worst things about Microsoft's conference, that you had this first half hour of very bloodthirsty, violent, enthusiast games. You had Gears of War 3, Metal Gear Solid Rising. I actually can't think of one game in that sort of 5 or 6 games we saw which didn't involve lots of gore and violence. and then we got on to Connect
to the mini games.
It was fluffy kittens and
Skittles. Skittles.
That was the creepiest thing in the world, by the way. The Skittles thing. That was horrible. But I applaud Nintendo with what they did with the Wii, because at least they tried. At least they tried to incorporate the motion controls into games like Mario Galaxy and Zelda. And it's not worked every single time, but I don't know. Playing Super Mario Galaxy 2, I wasn't offended by the motion controls, and I think the spin thing has come as spinning to attack and jump and stuff. It actually kind of works now. So. It doesn't always work, but my point being that to take the coward's route of Microsoft and to say, you know what, we're just not going to do this. We're not going to put or connect into any of our mainstream games is pathetic. It's just rubbish. It immediately removes any interest I have for the product.
But there are certain games. There are certain games, like for example, the Children of Eden. That one is going to have an option to use the Kinect controls for certain games. Yeah,
I'm kind of sort of talking about the conference in mostly because in terms of that presentation, it was so separate and split down the middle.
But yeah, I think that's the problem with their presentation in general. Is like we all pointed out earlier, is that they kind of tried to split everything in this is for you and this is for you, and there isn't any synergy between the different products they have. Yeah, that's definitely an issue. My thing is though is if they're going to put Kinect stuff in games like Gears of War or something like that, then I would hope that they would also keep the option to play it with a regular controller. But sure. But I mean, I'm like you. Honestly, the second they start showing people petting animals with it and shit, I'm like, I'm not interested in this. This is not for me. So, I mean, if I want to pet the dog, I have a dog. So, why do I need a video game to fucking pet a dog or a pet lion? I mean,
theoretically, I was the perfect audience for Microsoft, because here I am. I'm the father who loves his violence. Show me lots of violent stuff. But it was all violent stuff we've seen before. And then I'm the father of 2 4-year-old girls, and now here's the motion control stuff, and I could see where Dance Central might be appealing to them. But then there's the Kinectimals and the girl petting the tiger on the screen, and I'm like, I would never subject my daughter to that. Why would I ever? Why would I want to do that to her? That's the most horrible, most unfun thing I've ever seen, and I just think somehow. Here I am. I'm the perfect audience for what they're trying to do, and they just miscalculated with the types of games they were presenting.
You should be a man. Get him a real pet, right?
Yeah. Or do I want to teach my 4-year-old daughters that it's okay to pet tigers? I mean, isn't there a potential lawsuit in all this at some point when some kid gets mauled at the zoo?
The most egregiously awful thing was that the little girl in the Kinectimals video was touching the television screen. And I'm like, I don't want my daughter's hands on my sharp aquos. What kind of... If my daughter saw...
We spent 4 years telling them not to do that.
I have them very...
It's not about parenting, is it? It's about your love of technology.
So let's pull some questions. Let's pull some questions from the forums here before we wrap up our press conference talk. I will ask for a quick answer from each of you. Coils3 asks this simple question: which of the 2 new motion control technologies do you think will have the biggest impact for gaming? And Sinan, I will start with you. What do you think? Move or Kinect?
I'm going to go with Move, because it was incorporated for some games and the price point seems more competitive than what we'll likely see for Kinect.
Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Move as well, for the exact same reasons. I think the way they have tried to already incorporate it into stuff like Killzone 3 and things of that nature is going to be something that makes it a little more interesting to the core gamers who have a PS3, whereas the Kinect, like we just talked about, kind of has that sort of mini game vibe to it.
Chief?
I'm going to go the other way, man. I think I think the $150 is a huge barrier, but I think Kinect just has a little more potential. I don't the whole move thing with the waggle. Waggle's had its day already. I don't think people really care to have a more precise waggle. We know what it feels like to swing a bat. Like Mike says, do we really need it to be harder? Because that's what it is. It's a harder version of what it was. I don't think anyone wants that. So I think just Kinect is just more interesting to me from a technology standpoint. Didn't like the demos either, but we'll see.
And Brad?
I'm going to go with Move, just because with my limited hands-on, I could see how it could be used in the right way. I mean, it is very sensitive. If the right game had it and you used it wisely, it could be an okay thing that I wouldn't mind using, as long as it didn't have me doing jumping jacks all across my living room. Kinect just didn't. Which
it will.
No, that's when I turn the console off. But I'm going to go with Move.
I would love to see Kinect succeed because, like you said, Chi, we already have Waggle. But man, every Move ad is going to have that $50 price tag on it, and that's going to be huge. Even if that's deceiving and $50 isn't giving you enough to have a full Move experience, that $50 price tag is going to be plastered everywhere. And if there's a real battle, that's, I think that's going to play a major role. So, also from our forums, just a lot of comments about motion control just in general. This comes from Vince. Vince writes, first, I think it should be obvious that Sony and Microsoft pushed ahead with their motion controls because of pressure from stockholders and investors. This is important because the reason behind the controls, Nintendo did it not to stay alive, but because they had game ideas that needed this input in order to work. Because of this, Sony and Microsoft will not have that killer app Nintendo does with Wii Sports, whether or not you feel Wii Sports is just a demo and not a true game.
I almost laughed when I read that part that Nintendo did that out of necessity. Sorry. Not buying that at all, man.
No, I think he's right. I think he's right. I think that what he said is basically fundamentally right in that they weren't under pressure to come up with that particular technology. I mean, I think Nintendo was under the gun to do something because they weren't keeping up in the the microchip wars with Sony and Microsoft. But I mean, I would say that I don't think Nintendo even had a killer app for it once you got past Wii Sports. I don't know. I think Vince is right, and because nobody, as far as I'm concerned, has had a really killer app for the motion controls. Of course, I don't think that neither Sony nor Microsoft are really going to go anywhere with it. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly a cause and effect situation.
Also on our forums, we had a survey, who had the better press conference at E3 2010. 58% vote Nintendo, 24% Sony, and 18% Microsoft. Our user MaxStorm responded to that survey with this. He says, it's not so much that Nintendo was amazing, it was just that compared to Microsoft's dull conference that pandered to certain media outlets over others, and Sony's too long conference of nothing new, Nintendo's retro rebirth games were shown quickly, and were games some people at least wanted. Like it or not, Nintendo knows its audience and played them well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sony's conference was way too long, so Microsoft's was very bizarre. So yeah, Nintendo almost wins by default for not fucking it up as bad as the other two did. So yeah, I can go along with that.
Last comment before we pause here. One last comment that was titled, does there have to be an E3 winner? And this was written by Fuchal. I assume I'm pronouncing that correct. Perhaps I'm not. He says there is not a winner. Everybody lost, and he says, quote, "I was hoping Nintendo would bring some ray of light to the table for the Wii, as that platform has been treading water for the past 18 months. Apart from a new Zelda title, my realistic, in parentheses, cynical, outlook for the Wii was confirmed. No new IPs from Nintendo or third-party devs, more casual party games skinned with a Mario interface, and yet another DS variant to dump onto an already bloated market. Ultimately, there was no winner of E3. The two companies who lit the gaming world on fire from 2005 through 2007 seem to have either lost their ways or stagnated in the ideas department."
Wow.
Nice. I'm liking this guy.
I like this guy.
He fits right in. He really does.
I actually agree with that, because if you were going to ask me the previous question, I actually changed my mind. Originally, I thought I was going to say Microsoft by default, but after hearing your guys' comments, you guys actually convinced me that, yeah, Microsoft did kind of fuck up on a lot of levels there. And I was actually just going to call it a draw, so I totally agree with what he's saying, man. It's just, yeah, I don't really feel anyone particularly won this one.
Yeah. The only thing there I would disagree with in that is the assessment of the 3DS. I know it's easy to kind of call it yet another DS iteration, but I do think it offers enough, and not even so much in the 3D, but it's definitely a better level of graphics than what we've played on the DS up till this point. So I wouldn't be quite that cynical about it, but everything else is pretty much spot on there, I think.
Yeah, the 3DS is like the only sure sell right now, right? Despite there's been some negative comments, but we all seem to agree that we really want one, and that's been like the only thing that's been a sure thing in this whole E3, I think.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, I'd go along with Mike says, but I'd actually say that it does give Nintendo the win when you consider how cynical we were of 3DS only a few months ago when we first started to hear about it. So I'm not saying it's a huge Nintendo win. I still think it is a Nintendo win, but it's definitely a huge loss for Microsoft. I think it was a disaster for them.
I don't know. In the history of this podcast, there is very little that all four of us like.
Yes.
So for 3DS to come around and for all of us to be excited about it is that says something.
Very rare.
Yeah. So why don't we pause? When we come back, we will name check our, quote, games of significance. Stay with us through the music. We'll be right back. As is tradition for our E3 podcasts, we will now talk about what we call our games of significance. These may be games that we're really looking forward to, or they might be games that we were looking forward to, but now that we've seen them at E3, maybe not so much anymore. And we might be talking about some games that we were hoping to see, but didn't. So, Sinan, as our guest, I will offer you the floor first. What are your games of significance?
I think I've mentioned it before. I'll start off it again quickly. It was Little Big Planet 2. I think it's got the potential to be the best game if it comes out this year. It's just, I think everything we're hearing about it is immense and incredible. Stuff like the AI for vehicles and for Sackboys, and just everything sounds good. I was, like I said, I was a bit disappointed it didn't demo quite as well as it has previously. But if that game lives up to expectations, where its first one just kind of didn't quite meet them, then my God, that it's going to be just a must buy, and probably going to consume more time for the months after it comes out. It's just going to be incredible. I don't know if anyone else is excited. I feel like I've become a Little Big Planet 2 fanboy after in the last few months. Just everything I hear about the game has made me so excited for it.
I think Little Big Planet, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think any of us have spent much time with it if any.
No.
Is that correct?
I spent a little bit, but like I don't own a PS3, so it's just when I was at a friend's house. But yeah, the first game is cool. I definitely liked it, and you could see where it had some potential that wasn't realized. So I'm interested in seeing what they do with the sequel for sure.
Yeah, I spent a little time with it, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. I mean, I don't really have a lot of interest in like designing levels, and when I saw how much work had to actually go into it, it kind of. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people like it, and I think it's cool that those tools are out there, but it's not something that I personally have a lot of interest in. And the main game, I mean, I didn't care for like the floaty controls and the way that the depth of field was kind of fudged in there. It didn't do much for me. But then again, I mean, I can see the value in it, so I'm not going to totally bag on it, but I'm just going to kind of recuse myself since I know I don't like it already.
Well, sure. I think for me that what the positive things that are coming out is that they are trying to streamline finding the levels, which was one of the biggest problems in the first game. So hopefully, that will be much easier to do. If they're talking about integrating social networking tools into it and proper search functions, that was one of the biggest problems of the first game. You can search for levels really very effectively. And the other kind of thing is how do you make it easier for people to make the levels? And I think that's going to be their biggest barrier again. But I'm hoping that it's just that because it won't just be platforming this time, you can do so much more. You can, like they've shown Space Invaders and racing games and all kinds of stuff. I'm hoping that will maybe give it a bit more interest because I think it was a bit limited by being just a platformer. After a while, even with all imagination in the world, a platformer just tires. I guess that's why I'm just I really want it to be as good as they promise. I don't usually get about a game. I'm usually more pragmatic, but with Little Big Planet 2, I really want it to be as good as they're promising it to be.
As long as Peter Molyneux's not involved with it, you have a shot.
It'll be good.
Absolutely. What are my other games? Final Fantasy 14 as a game of significance in terms of how little we saw of it or how little it impressed. I'm starting to fear for that franchise. I wasn't a big fan of Final Fantasy 13, and there's nothing. I've seen nothing to suggest that Square Enix gets MMOs this time around. They've not really been forthcoming about talking about the shortcomings of Final Fantasy 11, which I feel like they need to be, and I'm just it looks so familiar and typical and derivative and dull every time I see it.
It looks like Final Fantasy 11 with high-res graphics.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, and I agree with you as someone who played the hell out of Final Fantasy 11. They have never come out and admitted the things they screwed up in that game, and they screwed up a lot of things in that game that, really held it back. From what I've seen of the alpha and everything, it does look like more of the same, although a friend was showing me the other day that they have sped up the combat at least, so there's maybe some hope. But yeah,
So now you'll only waste a million hours as opposed to a million hours.
And the funny thing is like it's like I don't understand the rationale behind doing like everything like Final Fantasy 11, because Final Fantasy 11 didn't work in a lot of ways. Why didn't they go in an entirely new direction or something like that? So yeah, I definitely look at it and feel like that kind of been there, done that thing too.
Yeah,
but I still will probably play.
I'm trying to remember my other games I mentioned. Project Dust, I think I put forward. I just I again want to go to the conference. I feel like Ubisoft didn't sell us a game which we really should be more excited about. There was I don't know. Do you think the name Eric Chahi is going to be recognizable to anyone beyond real enthusiasts?
Yeah. When the name came up, my jaw dropped, man. I almost stood up, but I don't think anyone else is going to really care.
No, but this is when we get down to it, this is a game made by the guy who made Another World, and it's going to be like populous, and that's all I need to know to be excited about that game.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not crazy about the whole populous black and white vibe, but the name alone, again, I love another world out of this world. It's
Man, you
just
didn't love it.
really,
You don't like Populous?
I never got into it. I wouldn't say I didn't like it. I just never got into it. It was a little before my time, where I never just wasn't the right timing for me, and so I wasn't thrilled. And that whole genre, the God genre thing, I just never, I'm not a big fan of. So,
Funnily enough, I'm not either. Except I love Populous for some reason. So.
But yeah, the name alone for me was just like, man, this guy's made like literally just 2 games.
Yeah.
If there's like an Orson Welles of video games,
this might be him. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good analogy.
That's a good line.
Him and Kenji Ino, who's made like 3 games, I think. Like what do these guys do to like stay
feed their families? Yeah.
I remembered my last 2. Okay, so the other one of the other ones was Epic Mickey, because I thought it was the most interesting demonstration in terms of how Warren Spector is probably one of the best speakers about video games. I could listen to him talk about video games all day long. I thought he gave a fantastic speech. It's just a shame about the game that we saw next to it, which looked like a very standard N64-like platformer.
Right.
People were so excited about that too, and I was like, "What are you seeing that I'm not seeing here?"
I totally agree. When he finally demoed it, I was like, "This is what we've been, looking forward to all this time." I mean, it's not like I was, with bated breath awaiting its arrival, but I looked at it and I'm like, "Man, this looks dull. It looks boring." Yeah. I mean, I'll play it, sure, but
the art style is awesome, though. I mean, the art style is awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the art. I mean, yeah. Capitalizing on the Disney vibe is always a win for sure. But I mean, the whole
can't screw that
take
up.
away the ink. What was it? The paint and thinner mechanic. I was like, man, that looks totally like prefab and boring and dumb. And all Warren Spector kept saying was, "You're creating your own experience and you're gonna craft your own world." And I'm like, no, you're not. You're gonna make this bridge appear that disappears and appears. That's nothing original about that.
All right. Now I'm gonna draw the line on that one, man. If anyone deserves a little bit of leeway, it's Warren Spector, man. He had me at the quote of "play style matters." I really do believe in that quote, and I'm excited about Epic Mickey as well for that one reason. I agree the demo did not show it. If anything, it reflected what I said earlier about how like all of Nintendo's games look like they were stuck in a vacuum. Like all that hype.
Dude, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Warren Spector. Like, the dude is somebody that I honestly, genuinely respect. So this is not like a personal attack against him at all. But when he got to the part about like, okay, this is a quest zone where you talk to people and find your quests. This is a travel zone where you walk from the quest zone to the action zone. And I'm like, dude, oh my fucking god, I cannot believe that this game. Like, I was like, seriously.
If you remove that bit. Right, and go to this kind of first half of his speech, it sounded brilliant. All the stuff about saying, going through Disney's history and trying to make Mickey Mouse a serious video game star. And I'm like, yes, okay, brilliant. I'm with you. If there was no game there, that would have been the best moment of E3.
There was just him talking.
Right.
You'll see this at some point in the future, but I'm just going to tell you about it now.
I've played games at E3 that I thought were going to be the shit, and then when the final version came out, I thought it was the worst. Picking a Dead to Rights mainly, but so I'll still stand by Epic Mickey, even though I haven't played it and the demo doesn't look good, based purely on that speech. Man, I loved it as well.
Me too. My last one was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I just wanted to kind of gauge everyone's thoughts on multiplayer coming to that, because I've never been a big supporter of Ubisoft and the Assassin's Creed franchise, but I don't know how I feel about multiplayer, because I feel like it should be a single player game, that series. At the same time, after playing Assassin's Creed 2, I'm willing to listen to new ideas. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty much anti-multiplayer on this show, aren't we?
Yeah, for the most
part.
Brad
and I don't do a lot of multiplayer.
No. Yeah, that's true.
And I hate Assassin's Creed. I haven't played 2, but I hated the first game, like with a passion. So see, when they announced another one, I was just like, oh, I so don't care.
But, I will say though. I mean, granted, I'm with you on hating Assassin's Creed. I hated the first Assassin's Creed. Hated Assassin's Creed 2. Hate both Assassin's Creed.
It's so disappointing because it should be so fucking awesome. I mean, it's such a great idea.
It should be like 100 times better than it is, and it's not. But I will say though that even though like we are not the biggest multiplayer fans, I'm certainly not. That's for sure. This kind of brought me back to like Tenchu, Tenchu was a really cool game when it came out, and the thought that you could be a ninja going from rooftop to rooftop, doing team assassinations, totally awesome. Like, I was so down for that. Unfortunately, that never really came to fruition, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe Assassin's Creed, this new one, will kind of maybe pick up on that a little bit. And if it does, like, I might really start to turn around on that franchise. But as it is, I'm going to flat out say I have no hope for that game. Because I think the developers are so off base.
No faith that they will pull that off.
Exactly.
By the way, we should the tagline for our show, our podcast here should be "United in Hate."
Now wait, I am going to play the contrarian because I adored Assassin's Creed 2. I didn't. The one was
what you did.
One was what it was. I adored number 2, and I
don't remember that. Did you not talk about it?
We never did it on the show. Well, I hadn't played it, but when you did it on the show, I hadn't played it yet. I adored the game. And I'm going to say adore a lot, but and I was all in on the narrative. I'm just completely hooked on the story. What I want though is Assassin's Creed 3, and I want the resolution to that story. I'm not ready mentally for anything else in Assassin's Creed. I think it's too soon. Give me a couple years, bring me the end of that trilogy, and I will be perfectly happy. But multiplayer isn't even something I ever considered as a possibility in that universe. And it's completely unappealing. It's kind of like multiplayer in BioShock. Like, why would I want that? Because that's not why I came to BioShock. I don't want it in Assassin's Creed either.
I actually haven't played Assassin's Creed, but the one thing I will say is in three parts, why can't they create a fighting engine that doesn't look completely borked? You know what I mean? Like, there's always guys that are just like standing around.
Standing there. It's like a Chuck Norris movie where they attack one at a time.
Exactly. It's like the worst looking combat. They just stand there, and then the counter system, the animation is completely fucked. I mean, it's just like they attack him, and then he just magically is blocking them. Dude, man, why?
No, I agree. Can I interject something off the record here?
Yeah, man.
We fucking forgot to talk about the new Xbox.
Oh yeah, damn, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or did we? We
just chose not to. Well, I wanted we at the very least want to give Mike a chance to announce his new Xbox.
Yes,
my new Xbox.
So why don't we finish name checking games, then we'll do the Xbox, and then we'll do the introductions. And then,
I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's hilarious that they're like, this one won't red ring because we got rid of the red rings.
That's right. So. There are literally no red LED lights. Therefore,
I was gonna say that's what they meant. They took out the red light bulb. That's what they mean.
Why don't we just append it afterwards? Like, Mike can say, "Oh, I forgot to mention I got the new Xbox and all that." Right?
I didn't get one of the new ones. I
know, but
cheap ones. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't even get one of the new ones.
Dude, I went and got, because they lowered the prices, I went to Target, and it was $130 for the arcade with 2 games, and they gave me a $50 gift card on top of it. So I got one for $80. So
hard to beat that price.
I'm like all excited. That was a hell of a deal.
That's a good deal, yeah. I was just gonna say since it's not gonna change how we felt about Microsoft one way or the other. I think. I think we should just tack it on at the end, as part of Mike mentioning that he's got an Xbox again, I guess. I mean, what do you guys think?
No, that's fine. I mean, I think as long as we talk about it, it's.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of a big thing we should probably mention. That they, 250 gigs and that ugly black that looks like it's a fingerprint magnet. It's like a fingerprint magnet, I bet. It looks too shiny and ugh.
Well, what would make me happy is if they sent one to everybody who's had at least 2 red rings.
Yeah, that would be nice, huh?
Worth $360, so I think they just owe me one gratis,
Yeah, or those people who got screwed because their 360 red ring after it was out of warranty.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Oprah-ing the event and giving one to all the game journalists who probably have access to 5 360.
That burned.
I could not believe they did that. That was.
I know. I'm like, man. All the years I go, we get like a fucking bag. Backpack. Or Sony gave us notebooks and pens one year.
Although those pens were good, though. Pens were good.
Yeah, those were good pens. I will give you that. They were nice pens. But yeah,
that shit really particularly burned because I was seriously considering going this year too. I was like really thinking about it, but man, so that really fucking burned when I heard
I
that.
go every year, and then like
all
I
the
find
years
a reason not to go, and then I like when it comes up, then I'm like pissed that I didn't go, and yeah, it really burned this year because of that.
All right. Well, I think we just talked about your new Xbox, Mike.
I think we did.
Yeah.
It burned.
It burns. All right. Well,
I think it's funny though. 250 gigs. I have 120 gig and I can't fill it up. So I don't know why they thought we needed that much, but okay.
You know what's filling it up for me? When you start porting over all the Rock Band and Guitar Hero and all that shit, it's like one gig. Oh, my 20 gig is like maxed out already now, so I desperately need a new hard drive.
Yeah.
I just like being able to install, like have 4 or 5 Xbox games just installed to the hard drive. So, I keep Mass Effect on there because there's going to be, DLC that I can go back to. I keep Borderlands on there. And then whatever games I'm playing, it's just nice to have that.
So you actually install them on there? You don't just play them off the disc?
I install every game to the hard drive.
Really?
And then
it's like a 3% improvement, dude. Why bother?
Yeah, I don't notice a difference when I do it at all. Like barely any difference.
Really?
That's why I don't do it. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's not like it takes effort to install it. I mean, you pop the disc in, you let it install for 5 minutes, and you come back in 5 minutes. I mean,
that's 5 minutes. Is 5 minutes you could be playing instead of sitting there.
Yeah, you could be killing all kinds of shit in 2 human in that 5 minutes. You could have died.
No.
You could have died like 26 times in that 5 minutes in 2 human.
It's 5 minutes I spend doing push-ups and picking up chicks. That's what I'm doing in that 5 minutes.
See, I do it too, but I think it's because I got my PS3 first before I got my 360, and I'm just that's all I know. To be honest.
Oh, they've indoctrinated you. You've been brainwashed.
I feel weird playing a game straight from the disc.
Sinan is like confused because he's like he didn't get that email where we're supposed to be like all high on coke while we do the show. He's like, what the fuck is up with these guys?
Yeah, we tend to derail a lot in the hour of the show that takes 4 hours to record, and there's lots of side journeys and. No,
but we're like kind of hyped up for this episode for whatever reason.
I swear a lot.
We get juiced for E3. I'm not sure what it is.
We do.
But,
yeah. This was like the one show I wasn't like tired before we started. I was like all ready for this.
So let's. That said, let's keep moving on, and let's move to Chi, who will now share with us his games of significance.
Well, this is gonna like sound kind of weird because all my
Dynasty Warriors.
Right. Well, that and all my main picks were already taken, so I'm not gonna like mention them again. So I'm gonna like talk about Dance Central.
There we go.
This podcast has officially fucking jumped the shark.
Yep. Yes, it has.
But we don't,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we don't know why it's significant yet. So let's find out. Perhaps it was he felt repulsed by it.
No, I just thought it was like the one legit application for Kinects, and mainly because of harmonics association more than anything else. Although the gameplay looked, legit also, but that was like the one game that actually, seemed like a real game as opposed to a mini game and all that other stuff. And because of harmonics, it may actually be like a franchise, and I secretly want to know how to dance like a Backstreet Boy. So
sure, of course.
Now it comes out.
It's funny though. Something struck me. Vince on our forums mentioned he has 4 daughters, and that Dance Central is like the perfect application for them. And I was thinking the same thing for my girls. I mean, 4-year-olds don't stop moving; they're constantly in motion. And like Dance Central could be a really cool way. I mean, they love to dance, they love music. I could see introducing that to them as in their video game indoctrination that I'm planning for them.
Yeah, and my other game is kind of similar. It's Karaoke Revolution Glee.
Jesus.
Oh, no.
What the hell is going on here?
Gee, what's happening?
This is the most hardcore game podcast ever.
Hey, I love Karaoke Revolution. That's why my Xbox is like the hard drive's running out. I decided to, make it into a karaoke machine with Rock Band and Guitar Hero, not for the instruments, but for the karaoke. So I love karaoke. I love Glee. It's one of my favorite shows right now. Put the two together, man, just can't beat that. I was
I have to see Chi singing karaoke. This is something I must see before I die.
It's on your bucket list.
It is.
Yeah, I know it sounds strange, but us Asians, man, we love our karaoke.
Yeah.
So,
if anybody but Chi said that, we would get
get so many letters.
I know. I'm glad you said that, Chi, and not me.
We already got PETA pissed off this show. Now we're going to get the Asians mad.
Right.
Oh, shit. Mike just said the Asians. Oh,
the Asians. Now we're done. Yep.
No.
God. Sirens going off outside my house. All right.
The only other game of note that I wanted to mention was one of Brad's picks, so I'm not going to steal it from him. It's the Lost in Shadows, Brad, so why don't you take that one away? Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Am I up here?
Let's transition to you, Brad. Your games of significance are...
Oh, okay. Well, since Chi just brought it up, yeah, Lost in Shadow to me looks like a winner. I mean, it's definitely got like an eco kind of art house vibe. I mean, it's about a little boy who, it's like he gets turned into a shadow or something. I couldn't really make out exactly what was going on from the video, but rather than having a physical form, you play in shadow form, and so all of these levels that you play through are really like detailed. There's lots of like, buildings and scaffolds and all kinds of weird architectural things happening. And so the player maneuvers the light sources in each level to manipulate the shadows into creating pathways for the shadow boy to travel. So you're actually like playing everything on the background, even though there's all this stuff in the foreground. Seems pretty original, pretty fresh, and I really like the arty kind of vibe to it. I'm a sucker for those kind of games. So that one looked good to me. The other game that caught my eye was one that I'm sure a million people are going to pick, and that's Metal Gear Solid Rising. I'm actually not in love with the Metal Gear franchise anymore. I was a really big fan of it for a long time, but Metal Gear Solid 4 was just like the biggest steaming pile of like horse crap to me, and I just really did not care for it. And it really, like, I lost a lot of respect for the series with that game. But this one...
In just one part, huh? In just one part, because I know you like 3.
Yeah, I really like 3 a lot. I liked 95% of 3. I thought it was really well done for the most part. And 4 just was like this giant, just, every time I think of 4, I think of like Kojima like stripping down to like being naked and like painting his wanker like red and just like running down the street and like screaming nonsense. Yeah, he just went off the deep end, and it's just like, dude, what the hell were you doing with this? Like I have no clue where he was coming from, what he meant to do, what the whole, it's just the whole thing just screamed fail to me. But this one, it just seemed interesting because of the slice mechanic. Like I wasn't aware previous to E3 of how in-depth the slicing was and how big a role that was going to play. I mean, I thought it was just going to be another, Raiden shows up and he kicks people's asses or whatever. That's not too interesting to me. But the way that they showed the in-depth, dissection that can occur and like, time stops and you pick your slice of the enemies on screen. I mean, it may turn out to be a one-trick pony and there may not be a lot more to the game than that, but that to me was something interesting that I hadn't really quite seen before. So I'm kind of inclined to give it the benefit of the doubt. I mean, what did you guys think of that?
I'm so weird. Like Metal Gear just holds absolutely zero interest for me. I don't know why. I just have never been able to get into them. So like I look at every one before it comes out and I think, man, that looks pretty cool. But then if I like get around to ever playing them, I never finish them. I don't ever make it very far into them for some reason. It's a series that just doesn't click for me for some reason.
So now I'd be curious to take your take. Yeah, what did you think of it, sir?
I was going to say I'm fully on board for it. I think everything you said, especially the car mechanics, look like there's a lot to them. That they could be, there's so much creativity that could be there in terms of how you use it, how you use the environment to get rid of enemies. The one thing that struck me was when it said, "What will you cut?" and I thought, "Oh, the trailer," because it was only about 3 minutes long, and I was wondering where the other 10 minutes of it were. No, I'm definitely excited for it.
Cool. The next one on my list was Vanquish, which is, I'm sure, going to be another popular pick. I'm a sucker for mecha and powered suits and robotics and that kind of stuff, and so to have like a fast-paced shooter with like some kind of quasi jetpack action and boosting and a lot of like weird armor and stuff like that, just it kind of fits my fetish. So it looked really good to me from that perspective. I mean, honestly, it looked like nothing so much as Gears of War 3 running in fast forward. So I'm not really like expecting like a ton of originality from it, but style-wise, it did catch my attention. But one that I really am expecting a lot out of, hopefully, is the new Deus Ex title. I'm a huge Deus Ex fan. I mean, I didn't really even come to that game until I think almost like 15 years after it was originally out. And even at that time, even at that late stage, it was still like a mind-blowing experience. And I mean, it was just like incredible. And I cannot say enough good things about the original Deus Ex. And so this one, I really, really hope that they nail it. I mean, I really hope that they bring the same kind of elements that made the first one so special. And honestly, I would be totally fine with the original Deus Ex just completely revamped, like better graphics, smoothed out, like, the rough parts and stuff, and just have that, because that game is such a classic. I mean, that to me is one of like the true touchstones of game history. I mean, it's just like, it's a title that stands alone above so many others. So I'm a little bit hesitant to hear that Square Enix is kind of involved in it, and the cutscenes look fantastic.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean,
I mean, the cutscenes are great. Everybody knew the Square cutscenes were going to be great because that's what they do best. But I don't really think that they've proven themselves in any other arena. And so I'm really, really holding my breath, because Deus Ex is something that I really don't want to see crapped all over. And the last couple games, even though the sequel I didn't think was as bad as people said it was, the third one was really kind of bad. So hopefully they get it right. I mean, are you guys interested in this one at all?
Yeah, I am. And it's interesting you talking about, I would like to just see the original redone, cleaned up. And it's funny because we just talked about GoldenEye, and redoing Deus Ex would make way more sense to me than redoing the original GoldenEye, I think.
Oh, dude, I totally agree. I mean, I think that Deus Ex, if it has so much to offer. It has so much groundbreaking stuff, and it's so deep, and so many games have tried to ape it and just failed. And like, the funny thing is, it's so old, but still, it trumps over. It's like so many other things.
It's aged surprisingly well, I think, for as old as it is. Like, when you go back and play it, it's ugly, and certainly technology has advanced, and it suffers in that regard. But I mean, for when you start thinking, how old it is, it's definitely aged pretty well, because you can still sit down and play it and have fun with it even now.
Oh, it's amazing. Once you get past the graphics, it's just like a superb, like unparalleled experience.
Not to derail you too much, but can someone explain to me with GoldenEye what's going on with Daniel Craig in that? Because no one's been able to explain to me what he's doing there.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't get it.
We were kind of wondering the same thing earlier.
Okay.
Tim actually did explain. He's playing Pierce Brosnan.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Stupid question on my part.
Getting an
Tim's
actor to play
second moment of clarity on this show.
That's right.
I had one question on the game on Deus Ex also. Had they hinted at any of the new features, or what's the new hook or anything like that?
Well, they've said in a couple of interviews that they are going to remain as faithful to possible to the source material, and in that they've talked about changing some of the options that the player had, but making everything integrated into the new, I guess, human augmentation system that they have. I mean, it sounds basically like the same thing that was happening in the first Deus Ex, just maybe a different name and a few different tweaks, but it sounds like they still are on board with having everything be like an upgradable power and letting the player kind of pick and choose which abilities they have. So as long as they stay in that vein, I think everything's going to work out.
I have never played Deus Ex.
Really?
It's one of the best games of all time. One of the best games of all time. Without question.
That's your homework for next week.
Must play that game.
All right. Done.
Even in this day and age, even with how ugly it's going to look and how rough it's going to control, that game is mind-blowing, dude.
Yep.
I will see if I can pull it down on PC from somewhere. Brad, what else is on your list, sir?
Oh, okay. The last thing I had, as cynical and jaded as I am, I do have a little bit of fanboy in me kicking around somewhere, and I do have to say that I let out a little bit of a girlish squeal when I saw Kid Icarus for the 3DS. Kid Icarus is a good character. I mean, even though the original game is not really that fun and not very good, I have really fond memories of it, and I acknowledge that. And I think it's a great license that never got its due. I mean, there was a lot of potential there. And I was so disappointed that over the years, Nintendo just failed to do anything with it except for Smash Brothers, which I fucking hate. So to have Kid Icarus get a real, genuine action title, which looked pretty good. I mean, nothing mind-blowing, but it looked really solid and good. I mean, I'm thrilled. I'm glad that Pitt is finally getting his due. He's making a return in an actual game all to his own. Just made me smile.
Yeah, why? I'm the same as you. Like, I think back fondly to that game, yet I know it wasn't very good. Why are we all so nostalgic for this game that actually, when you think back to it, kind of sucked? I
wasn't going to go there, Mike, but since you put it out there, man, I don't quite get the... I wasn't a fan.
I can answer this. I know the answer to this question.
Oh, I can answer it too, but go ahead, Tim.
Well, now my answer is going to be wrong, but here's the answer. What we all remember is when you finally assemble the gear and you're on the last level, when it basically becomes a shooter, and you get the wings and the shield and I don't know what it is, the laser bow or something.
Yeah.
And there's that glorious Kid Icarus music, and it basically becomes Gradius for the last level of the game. And that level just is magnificent and completely eclipses everything else in the product. And that's what I remember about it.
Interesting. My answer is completely different than that one. I was going to say when the Nintendo first hit and Nintendo was branding all their boxes with the same kind of like font and the same design, they all had that kind of like 45-degree tilt to all the characters. When Nintendo first hit, it was like Mario, Super Mario Brothers, Metroid, and Kid Icarus. Like they all had the same giant push. Like they were all being pushed as like AAA tier characters, and so they all had the same box, they all had the same design. So you kind of felt like buying this game, I love these other games. This is a big game. This is an important game. This is a big character that Nintendo's going to stick with, and so I'm on board with this. And everybody bought it. Like everybody I knew had it. Everybody I knew had played it. So it was like a common theme for everybody to be able to talk about it. And I think really it's the branding more than anything else. I think it just was really brilliant marketing at the time, positioning Pit to be the equal of Samus and Mario. Although, history has shown that really didn't pan out. But I think it was certainly burned in my mind that way.
That's a good point. And if you remember, the original Nintendo boxes were black with that slanted text, but Metroid and Kid Icarus had gray, like silver gray boxes.
Yeah, and they were special boxes.
Yeah, they were special boxes, and they were pushed as the first two password games, so you could save your game with a password. And that was, you're absolutely right. The other thing was, I had gotten Metroid, and I convinced my mom to purchase Kid Icarus for me as well by telling her it would teach me about Greek mythology.
And she went for that, huh?
Well, I realize now she was just being nice. Now that I'm a parent, I realize, like what...
How much slack she cut you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I get it now. Like, she wasn't falling for that in the slightest, but anyway.
Hey, Sinan, I'd be really curious to hear. I mean, we kind of all are aware of what kind of presence Kid Icarus had in the States, but how did it play over on your side of the water?
I was just going to say, I didn't want to piss on your parade too much, but I was watching the Nintendo conference with a friend, and he did say, wait, the little dude from Captain N? Kid Icarus was not a big game over here, I'm afraid. The NES wasn't big over here, full stop, so it's not impacting outside of America at all. We're just going, what? Okay, sure.
Interesting. Well, and that's my list.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Brad. Mike?
Yes. Here I am with your daily dose of bitterness.
Yes.
I watched all this E3 coverage and saw a lot of games, and I know last year we got a lot of slack for being cynical and bitching, and I don't know, maybe I'm just pissed off and cynical and a jerk, but everything this year had this sort of Me Too vibe to it again, and I don't know, I like Gears of War, but I'm not super excited about Gears of War 3, and Bulletstorm looks like Gears of War with different characters basically, and slightly different ways of killing people, and Halo Reach or whatever it is, I'm sure I'll play all that stuff, and it's kind of interesting, but none of it was super exciting. But I found instead of things I was excited about, although we did talk about a couple of them along the way, I found things that were more big disappointments for me this year. So I'm going to share some of the games that I thought were hugely disappointing or things that like didn't resonate with me at all. First off was the new Front Mission from Square. I don't know, did any of you guys see that trailer at all?
No.
I saw it. I was actually excited by the trailer.
Okay, so let me clarify then, like, because maybe I misunderstood it. Did they just take Front Mission, which has been a mech strategy RPG, and basically just turn it into fucking Mech Assault instead? Is that
yes,
what they...
I think that's correct.
Did they really do that? Did they really do that?
Yeah, it's not a strategy RPG now. It's like an action mech shooter.
I didn't know that. Because, they always do that. They always have, like, this, kick-ass trailer, intro, FMV with, the robot doing all this crazy shit, and then it's like a turn-based game.
Yeah. So, like, I was like, okay, a new Front Mission. Those are, generally fun strategy RPGs, which I like. So I was, like, excited, and I sit down and watch the trailer, and, dude, it's like, now it's just like fucking Mech Assault. And it's like, well, why? We have enough of those kind of games. Why?
But there hasn't been a good one. There hasn't been a good one.
No, there hasn't. But I don't think this one doesn't look like it's going to be the good one either. So, all
right.
I this is one of those things. Like earlier, we were talking about Square has certain strengths, and I don't think action mech shooter is necessarily something they're going to excel at. So I was definitely disappointed by that. I was also disappointed by, and this isn't really a surprise, but I was disappointed by Castlevania, what is it, Lord of Shadows, the new 3D Castlevania, which basically looks like God of War in Castlevania land. So, Castlevania is this franchise that I fucking love. Like, I've loved Castlevania all my life because I'm like a horror guy, and it was like fun. Like, those were like some of the first horror games like on a console. You played Castlevania on the NES and everything, but it doesn't translate to 3D. They've tried it how many times now, and it just doesn't work. and so here we are again, and like I guess we're supposed to be excited because Kojima's like overseeing it or something, but when you watch the footage, it literally just looks like God of War and Dante's Inferno, basically. And I don't know, man. I like God of War as much as the next guy, and I thought, Dante's Inferno looked like a good ripoff of God of War. I haven't played it, so I can't, really comment on it. But, I mean, it's like, really, Castlevania? This is what we've come to now? That we are so desperate to make this work in 3D that we're just going to, like, basically reskin God of War? It's just totally disappointing. But then on the same token, we've got yet another, like, the Metroidvania game coming for Xbox Live Arcade, which I guess has multiplayer as its big selling point, which looks kind of cool. But again, like, they're basically taking the same sprites that they used in the last couple DS games and just reusing them here. So it's like, I'm not really sure why we're supposed to be excited about this stuff. So those were definitely disappointments as well. A weird thing that was a disappointment, even though I expected it would be, was Splatterhouse. Namco's bringing that franchise back, and I know because I cover a lot of horror games, I had seen a lot of stuff about it leading up to its release. The trailer of the gameplay footage was like absolutely awful looking. Really just looked really repetitive and boring and just like a typical beat 'em up type thing and then it does this weird thing where it shifts to like side-scrolling platforming. So I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I'm trying to think. There was something I liked that I wanted to talk about.
How about Golden Sun?
Oh yes, Golden Sun.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't actually have. I'm excited about Golden Sun because I like the Game Boy Advance games. On the other hand, though,
it's Golden Sun.
Yeah. No, it's not that. It's the move to 3D. I thought that the graphics in the trailer looked like ass, and it's like, why take this series that was so? I mean, Golden Sun had like really pretty battle screens and stuff on the Game Boy Advance in 2D. Why take that and mess that up and make it 3D if you're going to make it like ugly 3D? So, yeah, disappointing E3 for me.
What about Star Wars? Old Republic?
Oh yeah, Well, I was going to let Tim talk about Star Wars, and then I was going to discuss with him since we're like MMO guys. So
that'll be a private MMO discussion.
Oh, will it?
Yeah, we don't. Well, no, I'm just letting the gang know we don't want you interrupting for that private discussion.
Yes. Leave the MMOs to us.
I got the impression when they showed Golden Sun at the Nintendo conference, it was the same 8 or 9 people cheering as it was last.
Yes. Yeah, I did too. And it's funny because like the weird thing about Golden Sun is like you look at it and it's not like a groundbreaking. Neither of those games are groundbreaking or anything. The reason I always like them is because they're kind of throwbacks to the 16-bit RPGs, where everything now RPG-wise is like so fucking convoluted and complicated for no good reason. And it had like pretty, the way they did the battle screen, the turn-based battles was cool looking, especially on a handheld. And then you look at this now, and it doesn't even really look like Golden Sun, and it's like, so what is the point of bringing this franchise back only to change it completely into something that nobody really wants in the first place? So that was definitely a bummer. That's my bitterness.
Yeah, that's Mike's bitterness. Very bitter, and that's how we like you. That's how we like you, sir.
I don't like to disappoint, so I always bring the bitterness.
So I have 2 games I'm looking forward to. I have 2 games I'm disappointed we didn't see, and I have 2 games that disappointed me that I was actually really excited about coming into the show. So the 2 games I'm really looking forward to, the first is Civilization V for the PC. I have played every iteration of this franchise. This will not be an exception. The game looks fantastic. This is a Civ with actual cutting-edge graphics, which we have not had before. I think the transition from a square-based world map to a hex-based one is very interesting. Harkens back to my old, board game war gaming days. The elimination of unit stacks, we'll have just 1 unit per hex, so no more stacking 12 musketeers to wipe out like a Gulf War era tank. That's something that's very appealing. I think it's going to be very interesting strategically. Full support through Steam and Steamworks. I support that platform, so I cannot wait. I know you guys are huge Civilization fans. Who's with me?
I actually like Civ, so yeah. I don't play. I'm not like one of those people who's like nutso about it, but I can see how you get addicted. So yeah, I definitely was excited when I saw it.
Yeah. Also looking forward to Dead Space 2, Return of Dead Space.
Yes.
Big fan of this game, Mike. I know you are too.
Yep.
My excitement for the franchise kind of rekindled with the Wii version of Dead Space, Extraction, which I think is a really underrated game and would recommend anyone check out. Doing some interesting things in Dead Space 2. Isaac, the protagonist, he is no longer mute. You're actually going to see his face. He's going to have dialogue. He's going to be an actual character who reacts to the hell around him. I think that was, a criticism that you had, Brad, of the original game was, it was another mute protagonist game. And I think that, having a really good character and having an interesting story and narrative is going to enhance this game quite a bit. So any of you excited about Dead Space 2, Mike? I'm sure you are.
Yes, definitely. Definitely looking forward to that one.
I'm cautiously excited. I mean, like you said, I had a lot of criticisms of the first game. It was beautiful and smooth and polished, but I felt like it was really lacking a lot of soul, and they made a lot of stupid decisions in it in terms of task design and the silent protagonist. I felt was like just utterly ridiculous that they would try to pull that off. So, I would definitely be willing to give it a shot. I mean, I didn't hate it. I just didn't think it up to expectations. So it sounds like they're addressing some of those issues.
So that's what I'm really looking forward to. 2 games that I was hoping to see any hint of. The first was Borderlands 2.
Oh god.
Whatever, dude.
This is the new 2 Human.
And then 2 Human 2.
Yeah,
More humaner.
I'm not so deluded that I would think that I'd see a 2 Human 2, but Borderlands 2, or some are hinting that it's going to be called Border Worlds because they bought the URL for that. Just a trailer, just a teaser, anything, a poster, just so I know somebody's thinking about it, somebody's working on it. And then also, and this was on my list from last year, whatever Ken Levine and Irrational Games is working on. How they have managed to keep it a secret for so long, I don't know. But they have basically bought a guaranteed purchase from me, thanks to BioShock and Freedom Force and System Shock 2. I mean, I will go down whatever path Ken Levine takes me down. I just want to know what he's working on, and waiting for that announcement. So now we come to 2 games that I'm now a little bit nervous about, kind of disappointed in. And the first one I think will come as a surprise to longtime listeners of this show, and that's Portal 2. I'm a little nervous about Portal 2. I mean, so much of the original's charm was in its simplicity, its minimalist design, and Portal 2 really looks overdone, overbaked, over-designed. I mean, the test lab, I get that it takes place hundreds of years in the future, allegedly. You know, the test lab is overgrown with a jungle, but there's just so much clutter in the game. There are power-ups now and like colored ooze that makes you run faster, and it just seems like Valve has decided to throw as much into this game as possible. And it just seems like the obvious direction to go with that design. It's almost as if this is what I would expect if Valve had given Portal 2 to another developer, to a less creative developer, and they said, "Oh, we'll just blow it up. We'll just make we'll make it 4 times as long, and we'll make the puzzles 10 times harder." And that's what this looks like to me. And I expected more from Valve. I expected something different. And certainly, this is going to be a game that I purchase, and it's something that I play. And I hope I'm wrong, but I have a bad feeling about Portal 2. What do you guys think?
We had this discussion on our site actually during our Uncharted 2 controversy when we were debating that, and someone had brought up, where does Portal really go? It's that game in particular has a challenge of exactly what you're describing. Do they just up the ante, or do they really need to go in a different direction? And I think what you're saying is reflective of that.
Yeah. The disappointment for me was that that Portal 2 ever got announced in the first place. I always thought the natural progression would be that we'd get Half-Life 2 Episode 3. Foolish thought that I was trying to do, and that we'd see the Portal gun in it. And that's the one thing that I didn't get to mention earlier. Where was anything about Half-Life? I mean, how many years can we go before? I just don't know.
I agree with all you guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say that Portal 2 left me very concerned about it, and almost, I don't want to say disinterested, but like not nearly as excited as I wanted to be. So.
Yeah, well, it's exactly like BioShock. I mean, I think the appeal of something like a BioShock or Portal is that it's new, you don't really know what it's about, and it's like the newness and the freshness and the surprise and the discovery of that game is half the appeal. I mean, everybody knows what the Portal gun is now, and it's like, it's almost like I would have rather just had them put out like random level packs for it or something, because that would have just, it would have satisfied people who wanted more Portal, and it would have made more sense because, like you guys said, where do you go with it? I kind of have concern that it's just kind of a cash in, and also. Listen on, like you said, like what's up with Half-Life? It's almost kind of just like a joke how long it's taking, and I think expectations are getting raised so high. I mean, it's almost like when it comes out, it's going to automatically disappoint because we've been waiting so long, and they've kind of put it off for so long. There's no way it can live up to what people are expecting. So
they'll have to rename it Half-Life Forever.
So the last game on my disappointed list, and I have done a complete 180 on this. This was on my most looked forward to list from last year, and I could now not be less interested in this game, is Star Wars: The Old Republic. And a lot of this has to do with my perception of BioWare. I really believe that BioWare is overextended. I think they are reaching. And Mass Effect 2 was fine. It wasn't special to me. I think those last 90 minutes that most people seem to think were the best 90 minutes were not earned by the 20 hours that preceded it. Dragon Age, so help me God, I've tried so many times to get into it, guys. It is so boring. I cannot go on, and I've given up. Every character blathering about Grey Wardens. Grey Walden. I can't do it anymore. and I just don't feel like BioWare in this generation, past the original Mass Effect, have shown that they can create a complete experience with all cylinders firing. And while the CGI trailers, or the CG trailers, I should say, for Old Republic have been amazing, it's not indicative of what this game is at all. It is Star Wars World of Warcraft.
Warcraft, yep.
And I'll be completely honest, if a Star Trek MMO, a really good Star Trek MMO, couldn't pull me away from World of Warcraft, I don't think a BioWare managed Star Wars MMO will be able to either. And look, BioWare has no MMO experience, and their post-game support, their DLC has been abysmal. They have a terrible track record here. Mm-hmm. And I just don't feel like this game is going to do it for me. Mike, tell me I'm wrong.
No, so I agree completely. When I saw the footage, I was really kind of surprised because I'm like, oh, it's Star Warcraft, because it's just looks like another WoW clone. And I understand that when you're Blizzard, you're making an MMO, and here's Blizzard who has this game that's, the runaway success of this genre. You're going to take another license and try to do what they do to make it work. But I just looked at it, and I was really, really let down by what I saw. I'm like, I quit playing WoW because, after you got to a certain point, I just lost interest. And it's like, I totally don't want to start over. I don't care if I can be a Sith Lord or not in the process. So, there's just a lot of concern there. And I agree with you, about BioWare's downloadable content and stuff. I haven't played all their games this generation, but I've heard this from other people that the downloadable stuff is not as good as it should be, and them coming in as a new company who hasn't run an MMO before. That doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but it's definitely an area of concern. And then when you see the gameplay just doesn't look very exciting, I'm just not interested now.
Yeah.
But there's going to be voices. There's going to be voices.
Yeah.
I'm also 100% with you, Tim. I think the two things I sort of been thinking about it. Regards to CGI trailer, I was shocked. I was following it was in EA's, wasn't it? In EA's conference.
It was.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was following that with a lot of friends on Twitter, and I was shocked by how many of them were going, "Oh my god, that trailer's amazing! Day one purchase." It's a CGI trailer. It's just unbelievable response. The second thing is the arrogance of BioWare with regards to bringing storytelling to MMOs and saying that they will do something new with this when Blizzard have put huge amounts of lore into World of Warcraft. I mean, that game is full of story, and I don't quite see what BioWare are actually bringing to the table. I mean, they've said a lot of good talk, but when you get down to the nitty gritty of what they're actually bringing in terms of story, that there's nothing to suggest that beyond it being Star Wars. Woohoo! It's actually going to be different from any other MMO, like you said.
The G4 demo focused on how you can create a tank and and there's a healer.
It's just all the same MMO shit, just with Star Wars skins, basically. Yeah. I don't expect them to reinvent the wheel or anything, but when I look at it and I go, oh, that's just basically the World of Warcraft interface. Why wouldn't I just go fucking play World of Warcraft then?
And I agree 100% with Sanan that the CGI trailer at this point is an embarrassment. In this day and age, you got to be showing in-game footage and not teasing us with stuff that will never happen. I mean, games actually look like the trailers now. You don't have to make a trailer to try to sell a point like you did in Resident Evil Code Veronica, which I'm amazed that people actually think that the intro was great. When all it did was highlight what you couldn't do in the game,
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 2 was great because in their E3 footage they showed you actual gameplay that was there, and that's like a legendary E3 moment, take a note from that,
Well, it is very, very late, and in fact, Sinan, can you see sunlight where you are?
Oh, I saw sunlight about an hour ago.
Oh no!
Dawn is breaking. Thank you so much for staying up with us and sacrificing sleep. Let's mention again your podcast, Big Red Potion, is available on internets all over the world. But how can people get to it?
Oh, I just wanted to first of all say thank you so much for having me on and for waiting for me. I don't know. I'm sure they're too humble to mention it, but these guys have waited 45 minutes for me whilst I got stuck by police. So not arresting me or anything, but I was on. That's a long story. I'm not going to go into. I'll just talk about my podcast. I'm the co-host of a show called Big Red Potion, which Brad has been a guest on quite a few times now, actually, and we're very much kind of like you guys. We like to talk a topic and break it down and try to get into the meat of it and spark some debate and on gaming stuff that really matters. So I'd like to think that fans of your show would enjoy our show, and you can find it at bigredpotion.com.
bigredpotion.com, and I know you have a Twitter if you'd like people to follow you on Twitter, and folks, you should follow him on Twitter.
Okay. You will be disappointed. I am at twitter.com/Shoinan, SHOINAN, N for Norman, AN for Norman.
Beautiful.
Way to sell that, man. Way to sell that.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to that huge litany of followers from when this goes.
Yeah, you should get at least 3. I think there's 3 people listen to this show.
But they have no patience whatsoever.
Sinan's one of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, but you might only get 2 because you're probably one of them. So
Certainly don't follow me on
So
Twitter.
follow yourself, buddy. Follow yourself.
All right. Well, Sinan, thanks again for being with us. And my thanks also to Chi-Kong Liu, Brad Gallaway, and Mike Bracken. To our listeners, if you survived this nearly 3-hour epic, my hat's off to you. We can't thank you enough. Leave your comments at GameCritics.com. Your questions, your thoughts, your hopes, and dreams. That's all from us. E3 2010. The book is closed. We'll do it again soon. Have a good night, everybody, and bon chance. That's not my closing. That's not what I say. The hell? What the hell am I doing? I don't say have a good night.
yeah.
I say good night. Good night. Anyone else want to say it?
Go. You can re-record it later, dude. All right.
Good night.
Anyway.
Let me say it, for God's sake. Let's get it clean. Let's make it clean. Good night. No, now see, the laughter doesn't make it clean. Good night and bon chance. Okay, now, here we go.